Chapter 3571. Yi Qing Luo's heart twitched fiercely as she hugged him tightly. You fool! Do you think I would want you to take risks for me? I will feel sorry for you. It will only make you feel worse. Dmo Xian smiled and patted her head, his voice softened. I can't bear to let you worry about me, so I will not let anything happen to myself. Yi Qing Luo suddenly buried her head into his arms and rubbed against his chest fiercely. This action made Dmo Xian laugh out loud. Yi Qing Luo raised her head, her eyes were watery. Is what you said true? Nothing will happen to you. Yes, it's true. Dmo Xian smiled and nodded. I used this method just to find out where you are. Yi Qing Luo didn't respond, just looked at him deeply. The strength of her hands gradually increased. After a while, she raised her lips and revealed a smile. Yes, I believe you. Dmo Xian smiled and raised his hand. His big palm pressed on her head and pressed her into his arms. At the moment when he pressed, the man's smile froze on his lips. His expression was somewhat dignified and cold. Only when he touched the young girl from the corner of his eyes, he could faintly see a trace of warmth. Of course, the man who was silent in his thoughts. He didn't notice that the moment the young girl was pressed into his arms, the smile on his face disappeared. Yi Qing Luo lay in his arms, her eyes wide open. Her eyes were as black as thick ink. At a glance, she couldn't see the bottom. In her mind, old man Tsang's voice continued. Girl, Dmo Xian really went all out to find you. It's not as simple as what he said. Spiritual body is equivalent to the human soul. Extracting the soul from the body will cause great damage to the body, especially for a powerful person like Dmo Xian. His soul power is very strong. To appear here in the form of a spiritual body, he must have consumed most of his profound energy. If Dmo Xian's consciousness returns to his body, I'm afraid he will have to rest for a long time. From the moment Dmo Xian said that he would not let anything happen to her, old man Tsang refuted Dmo Xian's words in her consciousness. The more she listened, the sadder her heart became, especially listening to Dmo Xian's clear and melodious laughter, gently comforting her. He didn't want to tell her. He didn't want her to worry. Then she would pretend that she did not know anything. If she really exposed Dmo Xian in front of everyone, he was extremely worried. This would only make Dmo Xian more uncomfortable. Yi Qing Luo held back the moisture in her eyes and made herself more rational. Why must he take such a risk? Only in my spiritual form can I accurately sense your location through the profound phoenix ring. It's very likely that he appeared in the formation through the connection between the netherworld phoenix ring and the netherworld dragon ring. That's why he happened to meet you in the formation. Old man Tsang sighed. There should be a forbidden spell placed on your body. Forbidden spell? Yi Qing Luo frowned. Old man Tsang's voice was grave. That forbidden spell has severed your connection with everything that can create a connection with you. Didn't you notice that from the moment you woke up to the moment you entered this array formation, the profound phoenix ring, you and the beastmen and felines were unable to establish a magnetic field? Sometimes I can't even sense what's happening to you in the outside world. Chapter 3572. Old man Tsang remained silent for a moment. It has been like this for the past few days. I couldn't sense the magnetic field outside from time to time, even when you were fighting without embroiling city's mysterious maiden. My senses were intermittent. He paused for a moment and continued. Earlier, the Overlord said, he had been searching for you for half a month, and my memories started from 3 days ago, like you. Ah Xian said that the person who made a move on me in the passageway was someone from the Dark Palace. Yi Qing Luo's expression was gloomy. The forbidden spell on me was definitely done by the Dark Palace. Old man Tsang said, after you and the Overlord met in this formation, the obstruction between you and me seemed to have reduced by a lot. Yi Qing Luo asked. What is the motive of the Dark Palace to cast the forbidden spell on me? Everything that the Palace of Gloomy Darkness wanted was still with her. Could it be? The Dark Palace only wanted to cast the forbidden spell on her, so they made a move in the passageway? No, definitely not like this. If it was really the Dark Palace, after knowing that she had made a contract with the 4 sacred beast pearls as her lifeline, it would definitely devour the 4 sacred beast pearls' energy. No matter what, it couldn't be left for her. Just as Yi Qing Luo was deep in thoughts, her earlobe suddenly hurt. She groaned in pain as she raised her head and stared at the initiator. But she met with a pair of incomparably bright eyes, like a blossoming peach forest. What are you thinking about? So lost in thought? The man's hoarse voice was filled with displeasure as he said that and bit her earlobe again. A slight pain was felt from her earlobe, and it was accompanied by a numbing feeling, which spread throughout her body. Yi Qing Luo's cheeks were dyed red by this evil action as she stared at him angrily. The next moment, the man's warm kiss extinguished all the anger in her eyes. His kiss landed on her eyes. It was mixed with the man's deep voice. Being with me, how can you be so lost in thought, and still have the face to glare at me? Yi Qing Luo's legs turned to jelly. She coughed lightly as her little hand clutched his clothes. No, nothing. She wanted to refute. She saw the man's faint smile. He continued decisively, I'm just thinking, where are you right now? How long will it take for you to find me after your spirit returns to your body? Or should I go look for you? Bring up this topic. The man's smiling eyes darkened for a moment. However, he still maintained a gentle smile on his face. Yi Qing Luo knew. The man's mood was low because he hadn't figured out how to explain to her that he needed to recuperate after returning to his body. He had to recuperate in peace. The withdrawal of the spirit body was too harmful to the human body. Yi Qing Luo pretended that she didn't notice his gloomy mood and continued to smile. I'll go look for you. I'll head over after I've settled the matter in Without Embroiling City. Dmo Xian rubbed her head and didn't continue Yi Qing Luo's words. Instead, he stretched out his hand, curled his slender fingers, and scraped the tip of her nose. Look at you, no matter where you go. You always make people worry. You've only woken up for 3 days, and you're already at odds with Without Embroiling City's mysterious maiden. And you've even been set up in such a sinister formation. Yi Qing Luo held his hand. There are always unruly people who want to harm me. I'm also helpless. Chapter 3573. Soul-sucking. Yi Qing Luo's eyes widened. How could there be such an array? The world is so big, nothing is too strange. Dmo Xian caressed her head. Although your willpower is strong, but if you encounter this kind of array, after a long time, you will eventually be unable to guard against it. Yi Qing Luo's expression changed drastically. Oh no! If it's sucking souls, Zixi and Ashang. Ashang? Dmo Xian narrowed his peach blossom eyes. The man who followed you in just now. You saw him. Yi Qing Luo nodded. Do you know how he disappeared? How should I find him? Just as he finished his words, Yi Qing Luo felt a chill down her spine. She shut her mouth and widened her eyes, staring at the direction where the chill came from. The man's lips curled up, his peach blossom eyes were like a deep pool, staring at her. His gaze was warm, his smile was warm, but inexplicably, Yi Qing Luo felt her whole body trembling. Dmo Xian's broad palm covered her hair. His slender fingers fiddled with her hair bit by bit. He smiled, clear and moist, calling him so intimately, and earlier you even took the initiative to hold his hand? Looks like you care a lot about that man called Ashang. His tone was calm and indifferent. His tone was calm and composed, but every word was like a thunder exploding in Yi Qing Luo's heart. Rub, 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 sounded the first level alarm. The Overlord's vinegar jar was overturned again. Yi Qing Luo's entire aura instantly weakened. Both her hands automatically wrapped around the man's neck. The delicate young lady's voice was as sweet as a silver bell. With such a dear husband like you, how can I put anyone else in my eyes? Where can I find such a perfect husband like Xian in this world? So in my eyes, everyone else are just people with one mouth, one nose, and two eyes. People, just people. She deliberately emphasized the word people, indicating that everyone else were just people, cannon fodder that need not be taken seriously. However, the young lady's coquettish attitude didn't make the man's expression moved at all. His peach blossom eyes were still curved. Mo Yao's dark eyes were so deep that no one could tell what he was thinking. For you to say so much for him, he must be very important, he said lightly, his voice a little cold. Yi Qing Luo threw herself into his arms. I swear, I have no other feelings for you. Sheng cough. Pei Sheng, Pei Sheng. She called out Pei Sheng's name a few times before continuing. Pei Sheng has someone she likes. The reason I care about him is because there's a conflict of interest between us. If something happens to him and Zishi, I'll be in trouble in Without Embroiling City. The girl explained with a serious look in her eyes, causing the man to be unable to help but laugh. Yi Qing Luo then reacted when she heard that puffed, unbearable laughter. You did it on purpose. Mo Xian laughed, his chest vibrating. No. It would be weird if he wasn't. You are deliberately trying to trick me to coax you. Yi Qing Luo was flustered. This man, when he became childish, she really had nothing to say. Mo Xian laughed heartily. While laughing, he leaned over and whispered into her ear, I am jealous. His breath was very warm, spraying on her ear, making her involuntarily shrink back. Of course, I also want to hear you call me husband. If you call me a few more times, I won't be jealous. How about that? His next sentence successfully made Yi Qing Luo blush. Chapter 3574. Mo Xian looked at her hurriedly, leaving figure as the smile in his eyes grew increasingly gentle. He watched for a while and followed up. The two of them walked side by side as they released their senses, paying attention to the surrounding movements. It was totally different from the lush forest in West Cliff Mountain. In front of them were layers upon layers of mountain ranges, undulating continuously. Yin Qi lingered around, and even the air was filled with an eerie chill. Large stretches of mountain range trapped the few of them in it. Yi Qing Luo and Mo Xian had passed through quite a number of mountain ranges and treacherous mountain paths. Along the way, the two of them didn't meet with any danger, but they didn't see any other living beings appearing. Not even the presence of living beings could be sensed. No response. She had no way to ascertain where Pei Sheng and Gu Zishi were in the array. Furthermore, as time went by, the influence of this array on Yi Qing Luo became more and more obvious. It looked like the person who designed to lure her into this array wanted to make use of this array to suck her soul. Yi Qing Luo stopped in her tracks as she pulled Mo Xian to a clean cliff to rest. After this stretch of journey, she seemed to be walking aimlessly, but in actual fact, she had memorized the entire mountain path and terrain of the array in her mind. This array looked like it really wanted to trap her inside, unless she could find the array and break this array. Otherwise, it was impossible for her to find Pei Sheng and Gu Zishi, not to mention bringing them back safely. Lil Luo'er. Mo Xian looked at the young lady's increasingly pale face as his heart ached. I'll send you out. I'll save the two of them. Xian. Yi Qing Luo leaned into his arms as she raised her head slightly and shook her head at him. I want to save the both of them, but I can't bear to let you take the risk. Leaving you alone in such a dangerous and sinister array, I'm even more worried. Mo Xian was now in a spiritual body state. To put it bluntly, a spiritual body was actually a soul. This array was used to suck a person's soul. Mo Xian was in this array and the damage he suffered was huge. If it wasn't for the fact that she was very clear that before she left the array, DMO Xian would absolutely not leave. Otherwise, she would have asked DMO Xian to leave the array long ago. Now it was even more impossible for DMO Xian to look for Pei Sheng and Gu Zixi alone. DMO Xian sighed helplessly as he gently stroked her hair. Their eyes met. At the same time, he couldn't help but laugh out loud. They were both the same. Neither of them could leave the other in danger and leave by themselves. Since that's the case, we can only forcefully break the array. Yi Qing Luo smiled. Who asked us to? Neither of us can leave each other. DMO Xian smiled and nodded. What do you want to do? Yi Qing Luo's long and narrow eyes narrowed slightly as an undetectable glint flashed past her eyes. The array is dead, but people are alive. DMO Xian saw through Yi Qing Luo's thoughts at one glance as he suppressed his voice and laughed softly. Looks like Lil Luo already has an idea. It can't be considered as having a solution. Yi Qing Luo's eyes curved into a crafty arc. The terrain of this formation had already formed a small map in her mind. The formation was oval in shape, the surrounding layers upon layers of undulating mountains. In Yi Qing Luo's mind, turned into round dots, using a thin line to connect all the round dots. Chapter 3575. Yi Qing Luo pondered for a long time in her mind. She couldn't tell what exactly that totem was. Any discovery? DMO Xian could almost guess what Yi Qing Luo was thinking at the same time when he saw her expression. Yi Qing Luo told DMO Xian about her discovery and said, I feel that this totem should be the key to the array. She paused, and suddenly her eyes lit up. Could it be that? These mountains are the pillars of the array? If I destroy the connection point between the mountains and the array, will I be able to break this array? Looking at the smiling expression on the young lady's face, DMO Xian's expression turned gentler. His slender fingers gently caressed the young lady's eyes. You can give it a try. When her eyes met with the man's gentle gaze, that trace of uncertainty in Yi Qing Luo's heart was completely smoothed out. In her eyes, there was a resolute expression. She could give it a try. This was the freedom that Xian gave her. Xian used her way to let her grow, because he understood her, so he wouldn't make the decision for her. He would also give her space to find her own way to solve it, using his way to tell her. Even if she failed, he was still around. Yi Qing Luo's brows were filled with a deep smile as she suddenly leaned forward and planted a kiss on the man's lips fiercely. After that, she quickly stood up and turned into a blazing red shadow as she headed towards the mountains in front. At the moment when the young lady left, no one noticed that DMO Xian's body had turned transparent for a moment, but very quickly it congealed back into a solid body, as though earlier it was just an illusion. Only DMO Xian's expression seemed to have understood a lot. Yi Qing Luo's figure stopped at the side of the cliff. Bending slightly, she could see the bottomless abyss below. With a slight movement, stones rolled down from the side of the cliff without making any sound. Yi Qing Luo confirmed her current position according to the topography in her mind. After that, from the side of the cliff down, she leapt. Her figure fell rapidly. The young lady's red dress fluttered like a butterfly's wings. Her ears were filled with the howling of the wind, scraping against her skin. Yi Qing Luo didn't release any profound energy to slow down her falling speed. Just like that, with a calm expression, he fell down without even a scream. The speed of his fall was extremely fast. In just a few breaths' time, Yi Qing Luo had already fallen halfway up the mountain. But at this moment, the girl's falling body suddenly flashed with a white light. A giant white tiger caught the girl firmly. Immediately after, the giant white tiger roared at the sky. The girl moved, and a red feather fan unfolded at her fingertips. She was like a cannonball being shot out, bringing with her a majestic and thick aura as she charged towards the waist of the mountain, like a hot knife through butter. Just as the glower flame fan in Yi Qing Luo's hands released a thick, profound energy and was about to strike over. Boom! A deafening explosion reverberated, causing Yi Qing Luo's ears to buzz. Yi Qing Luo only felt that her hand was numb from the surge of energy. Bang! Another extremely strong elastic force struck against Yi Qing Luo's body. She was sent flying backward. Master! Chi immediately went up and caught Yi Qing Luo. After Yi Qing Luo sat on Chi's back, she heaved a sigh of relief and frowned as she looked ahead. In front of her, there was no change in the entire mountain. Chapter 3576. That's right. She unleashed all her profound energy and struck out, trying to break this mountain peak from the middle of the mountain. But it didn't affect the mountain peak at all. Earlier, Yi Qing Luo clearly felt a strong rebounding force. All of her power was reflected back at her. The surrounding air was still reverberating with the aftershocks. Lil Luo On the mountain peak, a purple shadow flashed past. But in a blink of an eye, it had already reached Yi Qing Luo's side. He stretched out his hand and pulled the young lady into his arms. Are you all right? I'm fine. Yi Qing Luo shook her head in his arms. Looks like my guess is right. All the mountain peaks here are the medium to link up the array. If it wasn't so, the mountain peak would absolutely not produce any rebounding force to avoid her attack. DMO Xian looked at the young lady in his arms, her slightly pale face as his eyes revealed an unspeakable heartache. I took a look earlier. The array here is based on the position of the 5 elements and 8 trigrams. As long as we find which mountain peak is the array eye of this array, we will be able to break the array. Yi Qing Luo frowned slightly. There are at least 100 over mountain peaks here. In these 100 over mountain peaks to find the array eye. She couldn't just attack and probe the mountains one by one. This method, it would only make her energy deplete faster. The longer you stay in the array, the more damage it will cause to your body. Especially when you use your profound energy, it will only accelerate the absorption of your soul. DMO Xian's expression congealed as he tightened his arms. From the man, Yi Qing Luo felt a deep worry and concern. She stretched out her arms and circled around his waist. I know I can still hold on now. Don't worry, I won't bear to leave you. She raised her head and her chin rested on his chest. Her long and narrow eyes were curved, embellished with endless warmth. She smiled. Until the last moment, there's still a sliver of hope. I don't want to give up so easily. I will use the 5 elements and 8 trigrams to deduce the direction of the array eye. If I really can't hold on any longer, I will tell you. Looking at the young lady's determined gaze, DMO Xian could only sigh helplessly. Don't force yourself, I will be here. Yi Qing Luo smiled at him. As the Overlord's woman, there's nothing I can't do. DMO Xian's figure flashed as he leapt to the middle of the other mountain, his gaze fixed on Yi Qing Luo without blinking. On the other side, Yi Qing Luo straddled Chi's back as her eyes scanned the surroundings quickly. At the same time, he quickly filtered the simple totem in his mind according to the positions of the 5 elements and 8 trigrams. Girl, this old man suddenly has an idea. Old man, Tsang suddenly said. Yi Qing Luo opened her eyes. What idea? Isn't this a soul-sucking formation? The eye of the formation is definitely the place with the densest concentration of souls. Following old man Tsang's words, Yi Qing Luo felt the azure dew bracelet start to scorch hot. Old man Tsang said, Girl, since someone has placed a forbidden spell on your body, sealing all of your senses to the outside world, then you can try using the power of the azure dew bracelet to break this array. Yi Qing Luo's eyes lit up. That's right. She now had a forbidden spell on her. Why not use the forbidden spell as an opportunity to try activating the Azure Dew Bracelet's power? Previously, she had been worried that the Azure Dew Bracelet would be discovered by the people from the upper realm. She had always concealed the Azure Dew Bracelet well. But now, with the forbidden spell on her body. Chapter 3577. Outsiders wouldn't be able to detect the Azure Dew Bracelet's presence. What do I need to do? Yi Qing Luo asked. If it's a soul-sucking formation, you can use your own spiritual sense to deal with it. Old Man Song paused and said, extract your consciousness into the Azure Dew Bracelet and use the bracelet's power to sense it. After you use the 5 elements and 8 trigrams to eliminate the remaining mediums, mountain peaks, the place with the densest soul power will be the eye of the array. Speaking up to here, Old Man Song reminded. However, even if you have a forbidden spell, you still need to control it. Moreover, you better find the eye of the array within the time it takes for half an incense stick to burn. If you consume too much of your spiritual sense, your willpower will easily weaken, and your soul will be sucked away by the spell formation. Yi Qing Luo nodded. She closed her eyes again and quickly eliminated the surrounding mediums. She injected her consciousness into the Azure Dew Bracelet. When her consciousness entered the Azure Dew Bracelet, Yi Qing Luo only felt a scorching hot feeling in her heart. Her body swayed slightly. A streak of red light appeared from the Azure Dew Bracelet. It meandered forward bit by bit. When Yi Qing Luo opened her eyes again, she was shocked to find that everything in front of her was completely different from before. In front of her, the hundreds of mountain peaks surrounded by Yin Qi had all turned into black light balls emitting evil Qi. Each light ball was covered with a thin layer of fluorescent light. This fluorescent light should be the protective cover of these mediums. It was the protective shield that had reflected her attack just now. Last, these are the mediums of the array. Old Man Song explained. The mountain peaks you saw before were all a smokescreen to confuse your attention. Yi Qing Luo had a feeling that she had activated her fiery golden eyes mode. She could see through all things in the world. To tell the truth, looking at these hundreds of light balls emitting black light, Yi Qing Luo's heart was still somewhat apprehensive. But finding the place with the densest soul power in these light balls was much easier than finding the eye of the array among the hundreds of towering mountain peaks. Time was of the essence. Yi Qing Luo didn't hesitate and quickly scanned through the areas that hadn't been eliminated. Through all kinds of calculations in her mind, Yi Qing Luo's line of sight finally stopped at the most remote and inconspicuous place. Found it. She patted Chi-Chi and quickly headed in that direction. That was the formation's blind spot. It was also the safest place. The closer they got to that place, Yi Qing Luo's senses became stronger. In fact, they could almost see that the eye of the black sphere of light was faintly discernible as long as the formation eye was destroyed. He could destroy this formation. He could only save Pei Sheng and Gu Zishi. Yi Qing Luo had just neared the eye of the array. The gourd flame fan in his hand had yet to release his Xian energy to destroy it. Suddenly the formation eye orb flashed. That black demonic qi, which covered the light ball, directly charged towards Yi Qing Luo's arm. Little girl, the eye of the formation wants to swallow you. Old Man Tsang reminded her in her mind. Yi Qing Luo's brows creased slightly. Her attacking wrist suddenly flipped. The glower flame fan flipped and changed from attack mode to defense mode, blocking in front of her. Bang! The black evil energy collided violently with the devouring flame fan. A horrifying bouncing force sent Yi Qing Luo and Chi-Chi flying out once again. Chapter 3578. The black evil Qi was still wantonly circling around. It looked at Yi Qing Luo like a tiger watching its prey. Just one exchange of blows. Yi Qing Luo could clearly feel her soul trembling inside her body. It was as if something was tearing at her soul. Was the array trying to forcefully use the array to suck her soul? Yi Qing Luo's face turned pale from the tearing pain. Her pair of charming eyes stared at the black, evil qi in front of her. The black balls of light from all directions shot toward the evil dragon, one by one. When she saw this scene, Yi Qing Luo's heart inexplicably started beating uneasily, as if something ominous was about to happen. Quick! You must break the array eye now. Otherwise, after the array eye fuses with all the other mediums, I'm afraid your soul will not be able to bear the burden. Old Man Song said loudly in shock, his tone full of panic. Yi Qing Luo frowned. This array actually had spiritual intelligence. It actually wanted to fuse with other array mediums to deal with her. It looked like the person who set up this array and lured her here had made up his mind to let her die in this array. Boom, boom! Boom, boom, boom! Suddenly, a deafening explosion sound caused the entire array to tremble uncontrollably. She saw those hundreds of balls converging towards the evil qi. The entire empty space presented a kind of dusky and oppressive feeling. Vaguely, something that looked like a dragon, but wasn't a dragon, gradually formed. The array eye's spirit! Old Man Song exclaimed in astonishment. Who set up this array? Even the array eye's spirit has been awakened. Array eye's spirit? Yi Qing Luo was very puzzled. Old Man Song explained simply. The array eye's spirit is equivalent to the artifact spirit of a divine relic. But if an array wants to form an array spirit, it is 100 times more difficult than a divine relic. In layman's terms, this array had already formed its own spirit. It had its own spiritual intelligence. Yi Qing Luo also learned something new. She didn't expect that the array could form an array spirit. Can the array spirit deal with it? Yi Qing Luo asked hurriedly. Old Man Song's tone was solemn. Before the array eye spirit is completely formed, it must be destroyed. Otherwise, we'll all be trapped in the formation. In the sky, the shape that resembled a dragon, but was not a dragon, gradually became clearer. Yi Qing Luo clenched her glower flame fan tightly. I understand. She raised her eyes and met with DMO Xian, who was looking at her worriedly, not too far away. The man's face was cold, and his brows were tightly knitted together. His eyes were filled with worry. Looking at his tense body, it was as if he was suppressing his emotions that were about to rush forward. Yi Qing Luo's heart instantly felt warm. He was clearly worried about her. But in order to let her grow, he controlled his emotions. This was also his wholehearted trust in her strength. Yi Qing Luo's lips curled upwards and was just about to open her mouth to ask him to come over. Among the evil aura and the creatures that looked like dragons but weren't dragons, a slender figure leaped out. That person wielded a long sword, and his sword momentum was swift and fierce as he charged over. The murderous aura was thick and extremely flamboyant. At the moment when the sword momentum approached, Yi Qing Luo quickly retreated backwards, evading the attack. She frowned, looking at the figure that suddenly appeared in front of her. Her expression congealed. Qiao Yulu? The woman in front of her was dressed in a spotless white robe, and between her brows were full of malice and resentment. The woman didn't wear a veil, and that beautiful face was revealed just like that. From the expression of the woman's brows, Yi Qing Luo recognized the woman's identity at one glance. Chapter 3579. After meeting D.M.O. Xian, the veil on Yi Qing Luo's face was removed by him. The young lady's devastatingly beautiful eyes were flirtatious. The beauty pierced Qiao Yulu's eyes. Yi Qing Luo raised her head and looked at the dragon-like, yet not dragon-like species in the sky as she frowned. Why are you here? Of course I'm here waiting for you. Waiting to end your life with my own hands. Qiao Yulu's face was malevolent as she bellowed venomously. Yi Qing Luo was astonished as her tone was filled with bewilderment. This array is set up by you? Qiao Yulu raised her chin as her eyes were filled with arrogance. Of course, only you are so silly. You've only known someone for 2 days, and you're willing to take the risk for him. Hearing Xiao Yulu's reply, the doubt in Yi Qing Luo's eyes deepened. Xiao Yulu absolutely did not have the ability to set up such a sinister array. But looking at Xiao Yulu's complacent look, apparently this matter had something to do with her. Someone was helping her behind the scenes. Who was the person who helped her? Why would they put in so much effort for such a small fry like her? One must know that this was the Earth realm and not Nirvana realm. Could it be? Because she had insulted Mysterious Fairy, it was Ling Long Palace's people who humiliated them. So Ling Long Palace put in so much effort to set up this array in order to help their Mysterious Fairy to slap their face? Yi Qing Luo pursed her lips slightly as her gaze congealed as she stared at Xiao Yulu for some time before replying coldly. A person like you, of course, would not understand this feeling. I don't want to understand. I only want your life. Xiao Yulu laughed maniacally as the long sword in her hand flew up as she unleashed her sword strike towards Yi Qing Luo. Xiao Yulu's sword strike was ferocious and filled with murderous intent. Each and every move was extremely ferocious. Yi Qing Luo couldn't help but frown. Logically speaking, Xiao Yulu was already seriously injured yesterday, so it was impossible for her to have such a vigorous posture now. Furthermore, Xiao Yulu's ability seemed to have gotten stronger. Yi Qing Luo evaded left and right as she barely avoided Xiao Yulu's attack. Her gaze kept sweeping across Xiao Yulu's body. Di Luo, this consort advises you to obediently surrender. Since you care so much about those 2 pieces of trash, I'm sure you don't want them to get hurt. After a few moves, Xiao Yulu realized that she couldn't even touch the corner of Yi Qing Luo's clothes. The expression on his face became even more twisted. Yi Qing Luo's expression changed. What did you do to Ah Sheng and Zishi? This is my array. What do you think I will do to them? Finally seeing Yi Qing Luo's expression change, Xiao Yulu's heart instantly felt carefree. Yi Qing Luo's charming eyes turned cold. Her cold gaze was treacherous and gloomy. If you dare to lay a hand on them, I can make sure that you can't be the mysterious maiden of Without Embroiling City. How arrogant! Xiao Yulu sneered disapprovingly. Who do you think you are? Do you think I can't see through your profound rank? You're just a tiny, profound sky practitioner, yet you dare to act so arrogantly in front of me? Xiao Yulu's dark force shook. The vast, profound energy was like a surging wave, surging violently. 5th grade Sage, Profound Realm. Sage Profound, 10th grade. Paragon Profound, rank 15. Bang! The air shook violently. That berserk profound energy suddenly exploded. The light of the Spirit Profound level shrouded Xiao Yulu. Spirit Profound. That was close to the God level. It could be called God. The violent airwave made Yi Qing Luo's heart feel extremely uncomfortable. Chapter 3580. Di Luo, if it wasn't for my big brother's help, how many of my attacks could you have withstood? Looking at Yi Qing Luo's pale face, Xiao Yulu sneered as her brows were filled with complacency. She pointed her sword at Yi Qing Luo, merely a stray dog. How dare you flaunt your prowess in front of me? Yi Qing Luo mobilized the power of her profound jade heart to protect the meridians within her body. The power of the divine phoenix profound heart jade allowed her to breathe more easily. She frowned and stared at Xiao Yulu warily. He was astonished. If she didn't remember wrongly, Xiao Yulu's strength should be on par with Xiao Yinyan's when they fought earlier. Yesterday at the entrance of the Gathering Treasures, Xiao Yulu had attacked her without the slightest bit of mercy and had been filled with killing intent. However, Xiao Yulu's attack was easily blocked by Xiao Yinyan. She had heard the commoners discussing Xiao Yinyan's profound rank. He was at the 15th level of the Sage Profound Realm. He was a young genius who was about to step into the Spirit Xian realm and become a god. Even if Xiao Yinyan might have concealed his profound rank, It could only be said that he had already stepped into the early stages of the divine, profound realm. No matter how high Qiao Yulu's profound rank was, he was definitely not better than Qiao Yinan. But now, Qiao Yulu's attack and profound rank were obviously different from yesterday. This profound rank was so powerful that it made it hard for her to breathe. Although Yi Qing Luo's current profound grade was only at the 9th grade of Sky Profound Realm, which was only one breakthrough opportunity away from Xian Profound Realm. However, her true strength was far beyond the profound rank of the Sky Profound Realm. Especially previously, the 2 opportunities for breakthrough had been suppressed by DMO Xian within the Divine Phoenix Profound Heart Jade. As long as her body was able to withstand the burden of the breakthrough, she could ascend to the Sage Profound Realm at any time. Of course, this didn't mean that the newbie who had just entered the Sage Profound Realm could match Qiao Yilu, who was at least at the 10th level of the Sage Profound Realm. After all, after the Profound Sky Realm, it was a difference of 1 grade. That was the difference between heaven and earth. It could only be said that Yi Qing Luo had the double protection of the Tranquil Bead and the Divine Phoenix Profound Heart Jade. Facing Qiao Yilu's oppressive might, she wouldn't be affected as much as others. But the current Qiao Yilu was obviously not normal. The change in Qiao Yilu's profound rank was too obvious, especially Qiao Yilu, who was carried away yesterday and was almost schemed against by City Lord Lu using his son, now looked completely fine. She seemed to have thought of something, and her long and narrow eyes narrowed. Suddenly, he looked in a certain direction and blinked. A trace of craftiness flashed across his eyes. She curled her lips into a mocking smile. Mysterious fairy, do you really think I'm that gullible? You think you can set up such a formation? Do you know what this formation is? When Qiao Yilu heard that, her expression changed drastically, as though her sore spot had been poked, as she gritted her teeth and stared at Yi Qing Luo. This array is set up by me. I am the Empyrean Fairy of Without Embroiling City. I can take your life with a flick of my finger. If this formation was really set up by you, you wouldn't have appeared here. Yi Qing Luo sneered as her lips twitched, as her eyes overflowed with ridicule. This array is a soul-absorbing array. Qiao Yilu's expression changed. His grip on the long sword tightened visibly. Chapter 3581. Yi Qing Luo crossed her arms as she replied calmly, Looks like you're indeed not the one who set up this array. She raised her eyes slightly, and a hint of coldness could be seen from the corner of her eyes and the tip of her brows. Qiao Yilu tried her best to hold on. Stop trying to be mysterious over there. No matter what this array is, my only aim is to end you with my own hands. Following her sinister voice, every single word was spat out from her mouth. Her entire body's flame continued to rise. The powerful aura pressure was like a huge wave, as though it was going to swallow everything in the world. No. You've got something wrong. As long as we're sure that this array is not set up by you, then, even if you die, it won't affect Ashang and Zishi. Yi Qing Luo raised a finger. The expression on her face was light and indifferent. Let me die. This is the funniest joke I've ever heard. Qiao Yilu laughed out loudly. Di Luo, aren't you too confident in yourself? The confident person is you. Yi Qing Luo looked at her smilingly. Following that, she raised her hand and pointed behind Qiao Yilu. Who told you that I don't have any helpers? Almost instinctively, Qiao Yilu turned around to look. Not too far away, a tall figure was suspended in midair. His purple robe billowed like rolling clouds. Yin Qi lingered around, and she couldn't see the man's face clearly, but she could clearly see the man's peerless elegance behind the haze. Danger! This was Qiao Yilu's first reaction when she saw the man. Her face instantly turned deathly pale, just as she was about to move. Suddenly, a gust of wind attacked her from behind. Following that, a sharp blade was pressed against her throat. The young lady held a feather fan in her hand, and the dagger on the fan handle seemed as though it would slice Qiao Yulu's neck in the next moment. Qiao Yulu gritted her teeth. Despicable. Despicable? Yi Qing Luo laughed lightly. That doesn't exist. I'm just reminding you, out of goodwill, that I'm not fighting alone. Who knew that you'd be so dumb to even turn your back to me? She clicked her tongue as she leaned close to Qiao Yulu and gave a ridiculing smile. Yesterday you stood there and let me hit you. Today you stand there and let me kill you. Tell me, this mysterious maiden, why are you so dumb? Qiao Yulu wanted to struggle, but Yi Qing Luo used a little more strength. The sharp blade cut Qiao Yulu's neck. Thick blood oozed out from her neck. Qiao Yulu felt a stab of pain. Her face turned pale, and she didn't dare to move again. Yi Qing Luo held her tightly, and immediately raised her head as her vision looked towards the horizon. Qiao Yulu had stirred things up. The figure that was originally faintly discernible on the horizon had become increasingly clear. The black ball of light was still lingering around the evil aura. Yi Qing Luo gauged with her eyes. There were about 20 black orbs left. The spirit of the formation core was about to completely fuse with it. Qiao Yulu was just a cover. It was just a tool to delay her from destroying the formation of the formation eye spirit. Lass, there's no time left. Once the formation spirit eye is completely formed, we'll really be trapped inside. Old Man Tsang reminded him anxiously. I know that you didn't let Dizun take action because you were worried that the Array Eye spirit would devour Dizun's spiritual body. But in the current situation, if Dizun doesn't take action, none of us will be able to escape. Yi Qing Luo's fingers, which were holding onto the glower flame fan, suddenly tightened. The sharp blade embedded a little deeper into Qiao Yulu's neck. Yi Qing Luo's face was a little pale. The Array Eye spirit. If it's really as powerful as you said, Xian is now in a spiritual body state, using a spiritual body to go against the Array Eye spirit that was sucking souls. Chapter 3582. The Overlord is so powerful. Since he came to the spirit devouring Array with his spiritual body, it means that he has sufficient preparation. The Overlord will not do anything that he has no confidence in. Old Man Tsang said anxiously, if the Overlord is willing to take action, the Array Eye will definitely be destroyed. Otherwise, if this drags on, when the Array Eye spirit is completely formed, all of us will be trapped in the Array. By then, our souls will be sucked by the Array, and everyone will die. Yi Qing Luo looked at the horizon, the species that looked like a dragon, but not a dragon. It quickly merged with that black light ball. The evil aura became thicker. That species seemed to have opened its mouth wide, revealing its sharp fangs. It was as if it wanted to devour everything within the formation. Her fingers on Qiao Yulu's shoulder suddenly tightened. The sound of bones breaking was heard, as though Qiao Yulu's shoulder was about to be dislocated. Qiao Yulu screamed miserably. She wanted to struggle, but her skin was cut by the sharp blade on her neck once again. Shut up! Yi Qing Luo gritted her teeth as she berated coldly. Her mind seemed to be in a mess, making her unable to sort out and unable to calm down to consider things. You lass! If it was you, you would definitely choose to use your spiritual body to stop the formation of the Array Eye spirit without any hesitation. How could Old Man Tsang not feel Yi Qing Luo's inner struggle? He sighed helplessly. But when it concerns the Overlord, your straightforwardness and decisiveness will all disappear. But, lass, you have to think clearly. The Overlord took the risk to come to the spirit-devouring Array for you. Is it to die with you? Yi Qing Luo's eyelashes trembled violently. Her pink lips pursed tightly as her vision looked towards the front at the man who was quickly approaching her. Her heart felt as though there was something mercilessly tearing it apart. Lil Luo'er. DMO Xian's long arm wrapped around her waist as he looked up at the horizon, at the species that had already formed. We can't stay here any longer. We must destroy the array eye immediately. Not knowing if it was an illusion, Yi Qing Luo felt that Dmo Xian's body was slightly cold. Was it an illusion because of uneasiness? Lass, now is the time. Let's work together with Venerable Sovereign to destroy the formation eye. Old man Tsang kept urging. Yi Qing Luo's fingers clenched tightly as she shut her eyes tightly, almost using all the energy in her body. She spat out the words, "All right, destroy the eye of the formation." Hearing Yi Qing Luo's words, a smile surfaced on Dmo Xian's face. He lowered his eyes, his peach blossom eyes gazing tenderly at the girl. He smiled. "If you didn't say anything, I would have done it myself and helped you first. But you took the initiative to ask me, and that made me even happier." Yi Qing Luo also wanted to laugh. The corners of his mouth twitched, but he couldn't smile no matter how hard he tried. Her eyes gradually reddened. She fixed her eyes on Dmo Xian and said word by word, "Be careful. You must ensure your own safety. We can definitely break this formation. So, nothing must happen to any of us." Dmo Xian bent down and planted a kiss on her forehead. "Before I turn you into the real Imperial Madam, nothing will happen to me." As soon as he finished speaking, the man quickly flew towards the direction of the formation core spirit. When he went up against the formation core spirit, his purple long robe fluttered as it was blown by the demonic qi. His jet black hair fell on his shoulders as he bared his fangs and brandished his claws. His brows were icy cold as his thin lips curled up slightly. A bloodthirsty, cold smile bloomed on his lips. Boom! Chapter 3583. The enormous and berserk profound energy instantly shook off the evil energy that lingered in the surroundings. The 10 over light balls, which had yet to merge with the array core spirit, were also pushed back by this vast energy. Roar! In midair, the dragon-like creature suddenly moved. It let out a deafening beast roar. The beast roar turned into a wave in the air as it spread in all directions. Dmo Xian's peach blossom eyes raised his hand as his slender fingers pointed forward lightly. The violent and strange profound energy spread wildly in all directions. It easily covered the beast's roar and the shockwave that came out of it. Qiao Yilu, who was being restrained by Yi Qing Luo, stared at the sky in horror at that godlike man. She could feel it clearly. That man just raised his hand slightly. The energy that was released from his body was majestic and vast. She absolutely believed, as long as the man's energy was aimed at her, she would absolutely have no chance to resist. Thinking of this, Qiao Yilu's face instantly turned pale. Who was this man? When did Without Embroiling City have such a powerful presence? When did Di Luo have such a powerful helper? Moreover, from the looks of Di Luo and that man's relationship, it was obviously not ordinary. Qiao Yilu gritted her teeth. Di Luo, are you lying to my brother? Qiao Yilu's sinister gaze stared fiercely at Yi Qing Luo's beautiful face. Her eyes filled with jealousy. Just based on this face, she cheated her brother to be her escort. Now, based on this face, she cheated a powerful, mysterious man. A slut was a slut. Qiao Yilu vented her unwillingness in her heart. Hearing Qiao Yilu's voice, Yi Qing Luo took a deep breath and tried hard to adjust her own mentality. Xian was in battle. She couldn't just stand by and watch. She must strive to destroy the array core as soon as possible, to break this barrier. She retracted her gaze and grabbed Qiao Yilu's collar. Where are Ah Sheng and Zixi? Didn't you say that I wasn't the one who set up this formation? Why are you asking me then? Qiao Yilu's face was extremely pale as blood continued to seep out from her neck, but she was still putting up a brave front. Yi Qing Luo sneered, "Are you going to speak or not?" Qiao Yilu was just about to speak. He felt a chill on his neck. The sharp dagger moved up a little, moving closer to the skin of her chin. Xiao Yulu's face turned even paler, and she couldn't help but curse. I don't know. Oh, Yi Qing Luo replied indifferently. Immediately, the dagger slashed towards Xiao Yulu's neck. You don't know? Then go to hell. The strength of his fingertips was increasing. Fresh blood gushed out, and the smell of blood filled the air. Xiao Yulu's face turned even paler. His whole body was trembling slightly, realizing that Yi Qing Luo really intended to kill her. Xiao Yulu's tone suddenly changed. Di Luo, you clearly already have a man you like. You even seduced my big brother. My big brother is willing to disown his own family for you. Are you going to kill my big brother's only sister? Xiao Yulu's voice was loud. It was as if he was intentionally shouting at the man who was still fighting with the spirit of the Formation Corps. Hearing Xiao Yulu's words, Yi Qing Luo wanted to slap Xiao Yulu to death. Damn it, her Xian was someone who could overturn a vinegar jar any time, no matter if what Xiao Yulu said was true or not. Dmo Xian would absolutely carry on his jealousy till the end. He was already hard enough to coax. Now it was even harder to coax. Chapter 3584. I am Big Brother's blood-related younger sister. How can those sluts born of concubines be Big Brother's younger sister? If you dare to kill me, my big brother will definitely not let you off. Xiao Yulu's voice trembled. Yi Qing Luo was paying attention to the battlefield while her peripheral vision glanced at Xiao Yulu. Oh! Xiao Yulu. How was she supposed to reply? Seeing the battle between Dmo Xian and the Reizai spirit. The Reizai spirit seemed to want to absorb Dmo Xian's soul every time it attacked. Yi Qing Luo was extremely worried and didn't have the time to listen to Xiao Yulu's nonsense. Wait. Xiao Yulu sensed Yi Qing Luo's murderous intent as her face instantly turned pale. I don't know where those two trash are locked in the array, but I can tell you who was the one who set up this array. In order to survive, Xiao Yulu was also trying her best. He decisively chose to betray his teammate. When Yi Qing Luo heard that, her fingers paused as she squinted her eyes. Speak. This formation was obviously targeted at her. Yi Qing Luo was initially guessing. Xiao Yulu had used her identity as the Empyrean Fairy to set up this array formation and sought help from some expert. Or perhaps it was related to the Linglong Palace. However, Xiao Yulu did not know that this was a soul-devouring formation that could absorb souls. This point made Yi Qing Luo dispel this idea. Xiao Yulu wasn't targeting her. Who could it be? Setting up such a sinister formation behind her back to target her? This was the Earth Domain. She was just a nobody who had just arrived in the Earth Domain. Who would spend so much effort to use Xiao Yulu to deal with her? Unless the person behind her knew her true identity and was deliberately targeting her. Yi Qing Luo's expression sunk slightly as the hand which was clutching Xiao Yulu's collar tightened. Tell me the details of what happened. If I tell you, you'll let me go. Xiao Yulu froze, not daring to move. Xiao Yulu's heart almost collapsed. She tried several times to escape from Di Luo's hands. However, he discovered that his strength was not enough to break free from Di Luo's bindings. What's more, once she showed signs of it, Di Luo would move closer to her neck without hesitation. Obviously, Di Luo, this bitch's Xian rank is not high. With her strength, she should be able to easily take Di Luo's life. Why was she completely suppressed and unable to resist? However, no matter how Xiao Yulu's heart collapsed and felt uneasy, none of them could change the current situation, especially after seeing the extraordinary strength of the purple-clothed man. She gave up the idea of resisting even more. She had just become the Empyrean Fairy of Without Embroiling City. She had yet to enjoy the glory and pleasure of being the Empyrean Fairy. She could not die like this. Yi Qing Luo, don't talk nonsense. Do you know what kind of array formation this is? If you delay any longer, I won't even need to kill you. You will be devoured by this formation. Xiao Yulu's beautiful eyes flashed as she glanced at the purple-robed man who was fighting with a dragon-like creature. Until now, if Xiao Yulu still couldn't sense that something was wrong with the formation, she would be a fool. She stuttered, "Devoured array? Why was it devoured?" Yi Qing Luo glanced at her coldly. "Soul-devouring array, understand it." Soul-devouring? Xiao Yulu's face was filled with astonishment at these two words. Who on earth is the person who set up this array? What's his motive? Yi Qing Luo couldn't be bothered to explain further as she interrogated her. Chapter 3585. Yi Qing Luo. Black-robed man? Damn black-robed man again. Why was this black-robed man always causing trouble? What enmity did this black-robed man have with her? Always wearing a layer of black robe and doing all sorts of small tricks behind her back? When Yi Qing Luo heard the 3 words black-robed man, she had an impulse to scratch the wall. This array has nothing to do with me. I didn't interfere in any of their plans. I only took a pill which they gave me, and according to the agreement, I came here to look for you. Xiao Yulu saw Yi Qing Luo's expression was filled with rage as her voice started to tremble. Yi Qing Luo frowned. What pill? I don't know. I only know that after I took the pill, the internal injury which I suffered yesterday had all recovered, and my body is filled with energy. Xiao Yulu's face was filled with unwillingness, but she could only clench her teeth and answer obediently. You dare to take it when you don't know? Your heart is really big. Yi Qing Luo scoffed coldly, but in her heart, she could roughly guess that that pill was probably similar to the profound yin qi from the dark forces and the demonic qi from the Nether Palace. Yi Qing Luo suddenly recalled that she was forcefully abducted by the Nether Palace in the Upper Realms passageway. Could it be those black-robed men who made use of Xiao Yulu to deal with her were from the Nether Palace? This array was related to the Nether Palace? I've already said what I need to say. Let me go. Xiao Yulu saw Yi Qing Luo's expression becoming more and more grave as she immediately opened her mouth. Let you go? Yi Qing Luo tilted her head as she gave a chilly smile. I don't have any problem dealing with me, but you've implicated Guzishi, implicated my fiancé. You don't have any useful information at all. Do you think it's enough to buy your life? Xiao Yulu's face turned pale. Are you playing with me? Yi Qing Luo smiled but didn't say a word. Xiao Yulu was at most a cannon fodder, a dispensable tool. The person who set up the array was probably worried that she would destroy the array. So he made use of Xiao Yulu to obstruct her in the array. That person probably didn't expect this. DMO Xian would appear within the soul-devouring tactic. She wasn't able to get any useful information from Xiao Yulu, so Yi Qing Luo didn't waste any more time on Xiao Yulu. Sensing Yi Qing Luo's intention, Xiao Yulu's face turned even paler. She stiffened her neck, trying to get away from the dagger, so close. But Yi Qing Luo's hand directly stuck onto it. Wait. Xiao Yulu was so shocked that she suddenly shouted, I heard their conversation. This can definitely be exchanged for my life. Talk? Yi Qing Luo raised her brows. What do you mean? Let go of me first. If you do this, I won't be able to focus. Xiao Yulu glanced at the dagger on her neck. Yi Qing Luo took a look at her and directly retracted her hand, but the other hand was still clutching her collar tightly. Speak! Xiao Yulu suppressed the urge to struggle and tried her best to relax Yi Qing Luo's emotions. I heard them talking about something regarding your soul. They said your spirit. Her words had just left her mouth. Suddenly, she heard DMO Xian's panicky growl. Lil Luo, quickly avoid it. Yi Qing Luo was stunned as she raised her head abruptly and looked towards the direction of the voice. She saw that species which looked like a dragon but wasn't a dragon, brandishing its fangs and brandishing its claws towards her. That species was emitting a dense, evil qi. Chapter 3586. Yi Qing Luo instinctively threw Qiao Yilu aside and swiftly retreated backwards. Just as she moved, her petite body crashed into a broad embrace. Her waist was held tightly by the man's arm. "Are you all right?" Dmo Xian's gentle and worried voice rang beside her ear. The man's heart was beating extremely fast. She was leaning against his chest and could feel it very clearly. He was worried about her, which was why he was so nervous. Yi Qing Luo shook her head. "You reminded me in time. I'm fine." She was fine, but Qiao Yilu, who was thrown aside by her earlier, wasn't that lucky. That dragon-like species, after losing Yi Qing Luo as its target, stared at Dmo Xian, who had already protected Yi Qing Luo in a safe zone. It took a step back and opened its mouth to swallow Qiao Yilu in its evil qi. Ah! A miserable shriek was heard from the spreading evil qi. But in an instant, Qiao Yilu's voice stopped abruptly. Yi Qing Luo's expression congealed. Qiao Yilu, she died just like that. Because she had lost her value. So she became the Array Core spirit's food? Or could it be because Qiao Yilu had said something which she couldn't know? Which meant that Qiao Yilu had heard those black-robed men's words. What soul? Her soul? Those people set up the soul-devouring array. It was for her soul? Be careful. The Array Core's medium is about to finish merging, and the Array Core's spirit is about to awaken. Dmo Xian hugged her slender waist tightly as he reminded her in a deep voice. Yi Qing Luo looked at the horizon, at the Array Core's spirit, which had already taken shape and was lacking a few more black light balls before it would completely awaken. She subconsciously grabbed Dmo Xian's sleeve tightly. No. She felt that it wasn't that simple. If the Array Core spirit is awakened, we will be trapped inside. Yi Qing Luo's expression was grave. Xian, they're still. For more black light balls. Before those 4 light balls merge, we have to think of a way. Amen, Dmo Xian responded. His voice was very soft, without any excess emotions. But Yi Qing Luo's sharp senses detected something. She suddenly raised her head as her eyes stared intently at Dmo Xian's face. Xian, are you feeling unwell anywhere? It wasn't an illusion. Xian wrapped his arms around her body. It was still warm and comforting. However, his heart was beating faster and faster. Even his breathing was different from usual. Just now, he only spat out a single word. Yi Qing Luo could clearly tell that this word was slightly trembling. Yi Qing Luo's heart thumped fiercely. Xian, if you're not feeling well, don't force yourself. This is the soul-devouring array formation. The consumption on your spirit body is too great. Dmo Xian tightened his arms and pushed her head into his arms. His voice was deep and sexy. You're thinking too much, I'm fine. However, his hand did not exert any force. However, he was suddenly pressed down by the young girl. Shortly after, the young girl's little head popped out from his chest. When she looked up, she saw the man's pale face. It seems that a venerable sovereign in the form of a spiritual body still has some difficulties in the soul-devouring formation. Old man Tsang helplessly sighed. If this old man hadn't just cultivated a physical body, this old man would also want to rush out and help you guys right now. This was the soul-devouring formation. Not only did it restrain Dmo Xian, it also restrained old man Tsang. Yi Qing Luo looked at the ugly expression on Dmo Xian's face as her eyes turned red. Chapter 3587. As a normal person, her body was unable to withstand the soul-devouring array, not to mention Xian in his spiritual form. Otherwise, Xian could deal with the formation I-spirit. Dmo Xian looked at the young lady in his arms, and his eyes were filled with tears as he was about to open his mouth to comfort her. However, The girl's finger pressed against his lips. Don't speak. I don't want to hear your explanation. Dmo Xian sighed, helplessly, but didn't say another word. Yi Qing Luo hugged Dmo Xian tightly. Ah, Xian, leave the soul-devouring formation first. The hand on his waist suddenly tightened. Do you think I can leave? But if you continue to stay here, you will only consume more of your soul. Yi Qing Luo pursed her lips. Ah, Xian, if something happens to you because of this, what do you want me to do? I'm fine. Dmo Xian's slender fingers clasped her lower jaw. He lowered his head, and the man's hot breath sprayed on her face. His bright peach blossom eyes stared deeply into her eyes. He said each word firmly, Lil Luo'er, I cannot leave at this time. Yi Qing Luo furrowed her brows anxiously, but she knew very well that it was impossible for her to persuade Dmo Xian. Looking at the man's increasingly pale face, then looking at the spirit of the formation core that was about to take shape, suddenly a thought flashed through his mind. Ah, Xian, release the seal that you sealed in my body and suppressed my profound strength. Previously, when they fought against the palace of gloomy darkness, she almost broke through, and then she contracted the black tortoise, sharing their energy. She was about to break through again. It was sealed in the profound heart jade by Dmo Xian. With her current strength, she was not a match for the formation core spirit. No way. Dmo Xian rejected without thinking. This is too dangerous. You're in danger too. Yi Qing Luo clenched her fists. Ah, Xian, you should believe in my willpower. I can even withstand the power of 2 divine weapons. These are all my own power. I can definitely withstand it. He didn't answer. He just pursed his lips and frowned. Boom! On the horizon, a hurricane began to rise. The last 2 balls of light surrounded something that looked like a dragon, but wasn't. Boom, boom, boom. The evil aura continued to spread, causing the earth to shake and the mountains to shake as if it would collapse at any moment. The species that looked like a dragon, but wasn't a dragon, stirred up clouds and rain in the dark sky. It's too late. Ah, Xian, we don't have time to consider. Yi Qing Luo looked at Dmo Xian anxiously. Dmo Xian still did not speak. Yi Qing Luo was anxious and wanted to continue persuading. Old man Song's voice interrupted her. Venerable sovereign, why are you acting like a fool? With the girl's current body, even with the heart-calming pearl suppressing the profound heart jade, it is indeed unable to withstand power above the sage profound level. Otherwise, it is very easy for her to suffer the backlash of the divine phoenix profound heart jade. I am very clear on this point. He paused and continued. But you can use your profound energy to transfer into her body to protect her heart meridians. When Dmo Xian heard that, his face revealed a hesitant expression. But, not waiting for Dmo Xian to speak, Yi Qing Luo's expression was grave as she asked, if Ah Xian were to transfer his energy into my body, what kind of effect would it cause to him? This. Old man Tsong was stunned. Apparently he hadn't thought of this question. Yi Qing Luo held Dmo Xian's palm tightly and intertwined her fingers with his. The spirit-devouring array has already caused great damage to Ah Xian's spiritual body. If he were to transfer his energy to me, how would he be able to withstand it? Chapter 3588. Lil Luo'er. Dmo Xian pondered for a long time and called out her name in a hoarse voice. Looking at the man's pale face, Yi Qing Luo's heart was in extreme pain. She wanted to destroy this array. At least the spirit devour array would not affect Dmo Xian at all. But the thought that Dmo Xian had already depleted his own energy and still had to transfer the profound energy to protect her heart meridians, Dmo Xian's body might not be able to take it. She couldn't take the risk. She couldn't use Dmo Xian to block the array without any assurance. Lil Luo'er, listen to me. Dmo Xian held the young lady's hand tightly as his burning eyes stared at her. To tell the truth, I'm not at ease to let you deal with the array core spirit alone. Releasing the profound energy that was sealed in Yi Qing Luo's body, then using his energy to protect Yi Qing Luo's heart meridians, to prevent the energy from overloading and causing a backlash. This also indicated Yi Qing Luo was going to face the array core spirit alone. Ah, Xian. Yi Qing Luo's pink lips trembled as her eyes turned red. Have the both of you finished discussing? There's no more time. Hurry up and decide. Old Man Song was also anxious like an ant on a hot pan. What love? It was too troublesome. Too troublesome. Look at how decisive his lass was. Just for a man, what had she become? Old Man Song expressed incomparable disgust, hearing Old Man Song's urging. Yi Qing Luo's heart was getting more and more anxious. The man suddenly raised his hand and placed his large palm on her face. The warm palm was filled with an elegant sandalwood scent. It easily soothed the restlessness in her heart. The man smiled at her. His smile was gentle as his eyes overflowed with tenderness. Lil Luo, I believe you can do it. Yi Qing Luo's heart trembled fiercely. He believed her. He had always believed in her. So he gave her the freedom to grow. So he suppressed his belly full of worries and stood by the side, watching her fall and climb up. In fact, his heart was even more uncomfortable than hers. But it was because he believed in her. He suppressed all the worries and impulses, resisting the urge to treat her like a canary, protecting her in the crook of his arms, giving her the freedom. He believed her. She should trust him too. Yi Qing Luo's heart had become unprecedentedly firm. She forcefully closed her eyes. I know. Ah, Xian, with your strength by my side, I can definitely do it. Dmo Xian smiled even more gently. The next moment, the man's wrist moved and suddenly pushed Yi Qing Luo's body. Then a palm landed on her back. Boom! Yi Qing Luo suddenly felt a huge buzzing sound in her head. Shortly after, he felt a boundless and terrifying aura explode within his body. The dark force that was slowly pouring in was extremely turbulent. It was as if her meridians were about to burst. It was a little stifling and painful. But Yi Qing Luo could clearly feel it. The continuous influx of energy had actually slowed down a lot. That unending stream of profound energy spread throughout her limbs and bones. It enveloped her internal organs, her heart and meridians at the same time. Her heart was abruptly engulfed by a raging inferno enveloping her heart. In a split second, she felt as if a volcano was erupting, constantly exploding in her head. His chest was swollen. She furrowed her brows in pain, but she bit her lower lip tightly to stop the cries of pain. This was the sealed energy. Chapter 3589. Following that feeling of swelling to the point of almost exploding, it started to spread from her heart arteries. Yi Qing Luo only felt as if something was ruthlessly tearing her limbs apart. The vigorous and overbearing profound qi was almost about to burst her body. Like a raging storm, it was surging in her heart. Boom! Another burst of sound rang in Yi Qing Luo's mind. Yi Qing Luo's entire body was shrouded in a layer of faint red glow, like a lit candle flame, swaying gently. Yi Qing Luo finally understood why Dmo Xian sealed her power into the divine phoenix profound jade heart. This body of hers, indeed, could not support the profound grade of the sage realm. It was only accepting the profound qi released from her body. She was already in so much pain that she wanted to scream out loud. She couldn't imagine. If Dmo Xian did not transfer his power into her body to protect her heart arteries, what would the consequences be? Yi Qing Luo's brows tightly knitted into a ball. Her body was still trembling slightly. Her slender fingers clenched into a fist, suppressing the pain on her body. not willing to cry out and let DMO Xian worry. Lass, revolve the profound jade heart. Use the profound jade heart to absorb the profound qi in your body. In her mind, Old Man Song's reminder sounded. Yi Qing Luo tried hard to maintain consciousness, gathering the profound qi in her body to linger around the profound jade heart. Her aura was constantly rising. DMO Xian slowly retracted his hand and took a step back. He looked deeply at the young lady's black hair flying, her whole body covered in cold sweat, her face full of pain but enduring silently, his gaze concentrated, not blinking for a moment. From the man's tense body, and that focused gaze, and obviously unable to stand steadily, but all his thoughts were placed on the young lady, and so on these actions, he could totally see DMO Xian's worry and nervousness towards Yi Qing Luo. This was a nervousness that DMO Xian had never felt before. Even he himself, facing a dead end, had never felt this way. The moment DMO Xian retracted his palm, Yi Qing Luo only felt her whole body tremble. Something in her mind suddenly buzzed and exploded. Immediately, the profound qi in her body, like waves, began to collide chaotically. She felt extremely uncomfortable being squeezed. Girl, you have to do it. Even if Venerable Sovereign doesn't help you control and guide the dark force in your body, you can still run the dark force in your body flexibly. This is growth. Old Man Song kept reminding Yi Qing Luo by her ear, and also preventing her from fainting due to the pain. Yi Qing Luo had been suppressing the discomfort in her body. According to the method that Old Man Song had provided, he used his profound heart jade bit by bit to try and control the profound energy. Bit by bit, dong, a slight sound was emitted from Yi Qing Luo's body. Immediately after, the red glow surrounding Yi Qing Luo suddenly exploded. Breakthrough, the sage profound realm. Boom, boom, boom. Following that, Yi Qing Luo's aura continued to explode. At this moment, it was as if she had been washed and cleansed by holy water. It was like the tender grass that had just sprouted. His entire body was filled with the power of new life. Swoosh! As Yi Qing Luo abruptly opened her eyes, a sharp cold light shot out from her eyes. The energy in his body also shook violently. Little Luo, how do you feel? DMO Xian's eyes stared intently at Yi Qing Luo, paying attention to her emotions and where she felt uncomfortable. His gaze was focused and serious. Chapter 3590. DMO Xian's eyes were gentle as his thin lips curled up, revealing a smile. I know, you're the best. Chi-Chi, help me take care of Xian. I'll be right back. Yi Qing Luo looked at Chi-Chi. Chi-Chi roared and rushed towards DMO Xian. Yi Qing Luo gave a bright smile at DMO Xian and moved towards the horizon, towards that dragon-like species rapidly approaching. During this period of time when she was unsealed by DMO Xian in the divine phoenix, profound heart jade, it seemed like a long time had passed. In fact, it was only a few minutes. On the horizon, there was only one medium left for the black ball of light. That one had already merged with the dragon-like species, almost halfway. As long as the last medium merges with the Array Eye Spirit, the power of the Array Eye Spirit will be awakened. The power of the Devouring Spirit Array will also be unleashed to the extreme. The soul in your body and the Overlord's spiritual body will be forcibly extracted and absorbed by it. Old Man Tsang said anxiously. Yi Qing Luo's fingertips moved. The glower flame fan in her hand opened up. A burst of profound energy shot out from the glower flame fan, turning into an arc-shaped sharp blade. Bam! That sharp blade directly cut the black ball of light and the fusion of the Array Eye Spirit. The two collided, giving off a sound of air splitting. But the sharp blade did not stop the black ball of light and the Array Eye Spirit from fusing. Yi Qing Luo's eyes narrowed, raising her profound energy. The glower flame fan flashed left and right again, one after another sharp blade, like a celestial maiden scattering flowers, shot out. At the same time, Yi Qing Luo's figure quickly approached the array ice spirit. Roar! The spirit at the core of the formation suddenly opened its mouth and let out a furious roar. That strange head, which had already formed, twisted towards Yi Qing Luo. That jet-black eyes, completely unable to see any emotion, was so treacherous that it made one afraid. The array ice spirit's huge black beast eyes stared deadly at Yi Qing Luo, as if it wanted to swallow Yi Qing Luo alive. When the formation ice spirit turned its head around, the formation ice spirit, Yi Qing Luo, clearly saw the face of that huge creature. It looked like a dragon, but it wasn't. Indeed, it was very long like a dragon. But the most surprising thing was, this species that resembled a dragon, but was not a dragon, had no neck. Below the head was an extremely fat body. It was a little like a camel's body, high and low. Behind his body was a dragon's tail. There was also a pair of wings that seemed to be condensed from black gas on its body. It flapped its wings from time to time. The black, evil aura floated up and down. Yi Qing Luo noticed that there was a huge black horn on the array's ice spirit's head. The horn was very sharp, and there was even a black glow flickering around it. Yi Qing Luo totally couldn't tell what kind of breed this monster was. When that strange and terrifying head faced Yi Qing Luo, it opened its bloody mouth. It spat out a mouthful of dense black, evil energy. That black, evil aura exuded a bone-chilling aura that made one's hair stand on end. It seemed to be able to stir the hearts of people with weak willpower. Yi Qing Luo looked at the incoming demonic qi, but didn't evade it. Instead, he moved his fingertips. The glowing flame fan in his hand spun rapidly in his palm. The profound energy increased exponentially along with the speed of the rotation. Immediately following that, she saw a whirlwind shooting out from the glowing flame fan. At the same time, Yi Qing Luo's figure speedily charged towards the black evil aura which was pressing towards her. Bam! Chapter 3591. The wind howled as it fluttered. The tornado was shrouded in a huge energy. It swept all the black, evil qi into the wind. Following that, it followed the pressure of the tornado and forced its way towards the array core spirit. The sky full of profound energy intertwined with that black, evil qi. Bam! A deafening explosion was heard. The raging tornado fiercely hit the last black light ball, which was about to merge into the array core spirit. That black light ball, under the strong pressure, still persevered and trembled a few times. In the end, it couldn't resist the pressure of the two forces. It instantly exploded. The black light ball exploded. It was like a black rain of light falling on the ground. Well done! Old Man Song couldn't help but applaud. The last array medium has been destroyed. The array core spirit's power can't be recovered. We still have a chance to destroy the array. Yi Qing Luo panted lightly, half squinted her eyes, staring at the array core spirit, which was furious because the light ball had exploded. Roar! The array core spirit seemed to be infuriated as it raised its neck and roared crazily. Following that, a pair of huge black beast eyes stared deadly at Yi Qing Luo. Roar, roar! It was still baring its fangs and roaring. Old Man Song immediately said, "Last quick! Now is the time." Yi Qing Luo's body had already made an instinctive action. She stomped on the ground with both legs and leaped into the air, quickly attacking the spirit of the formation eye. The profound energy which lingered around her suddenly exploded. Bursts of profound energy were like waves surging. Yi Qing Luo's feet flashed a few times. Her red robe was like fire, coupled with the glower flame fan on her fingertips. It was like a blazing flame, but also like rolling blood pouring onto the ground. It made her entire person red, like the god of death had descended. And when Yi Qing Luo neared the array core spirit, that array core spirit suddenly let out an earth-shattering roar. Then it opened its mouth, spitting out countless of evil black evil chi. That evil chi completely wrapped the young lady's petite body in it. Leaning on Chi-Chi's back, DMO Xian, who was staring intently at the scene, clenched his fists tightly. Veins popped up on his forehead. However, he had been suppressing the impulse in his heart. Lil Luo, I believe in you. You must not disappoint me, he muttered to himself. It was as if he was talking to Mu Chi-Chi. At the same time, he seemed to be convincing himself not to rush forward recklessly. And at this moment, Yi Qing Luo, who was enveloped by the evil chi, he felt a chill down his spine. It was as if cold air had entered her body, and a wave of coldness was eroding her. What made her most uncomfortable was that cold, evil aura seemed to want to penetrate through her skin and into her body. Yi Qing Luo could even feel that her soul was being forcefully pulled by a gush of energy. Was this soul-devouring array planning to forcefully devour her soul? Yi Qing Luo squinted her eyes slightly, but the movements of her hands were not affected by these obstacles. The glowing flame fan was like a sharp blade, turning into countless streams of air, cutting the body of the formation core spirit in all directions. The formation eye spirit was the medium that fused with the formation and formed the formation spirit. It could also be said to be illusory. But when Yi Qing Luo released countless airflow, enveloping the array's eye spirit, Yi Qing Luo saw it clearly. The outer layer of the array's eye spirit started to turn into a spinning top, bit by bit. Roar! It seemed as though it had not expected Yi Qing Luo to be so barbaric. The array core spirit howled in pain. Its huge body kept on struggling and trembling. Yi Qing Luo heaved a sigh of relief and was about to directly settle the array core spirit. Chapter 3592. The dense evil chi overflowed from the body, which had been sliced into pieces. Like a lump of thick ink, it dyed everything. Yi Qing Luo could even smell that sinister evil chi in the air. That split into pieces of evil chi covered the sky and earth as it enveloped Yi Qing Luo. Yi Qing Luo frowned as an ominous premonition arose in her heart. The instant that evil chi enveloped her, she turned sideways and swiftly leapt to the other side. The evil chi landed heavily on the place where Yi Qing Luo was standing at earlier with a bam sound. The ground was instantly blasted into pieces. The tyrannical profound energy and the energy waves were like turbulent waves. Even though Yi Qing Luo had avoided this strike from the evil chi, however, this evil aura was simply too domineering. Yi Qing Luo was forced to stagger backwards by 2 steps. The evil chi, which was split by the array core spirit, didn't stop because of this, as it once again surged towards Yi Qing Luo's direction. This stance, Yi Qing Luo finally understood. This so-called soul-devouring formation and the awakening of the array core spirit. It was all a pretense. His main objective was to obtain her soul, to devour her soul. So no matter how she destroyed the array core spirit, the evil chi, which lingered on the soul-devouring formation, would try its best to devour her, just like now. This ball of evil chi, which was overflowing from the array core spirit, was like a weaved, huge net, trapping Yi Qing Luo in it with no way to escape. No way. This soul-devouring formation's array spirit was still lacking a medium to fuse with before it could completely awaken. But the current array spirit had already reached a stage of power. It was even invulnerable. Wherever it was injured, that place would overflow with evil chi, chasing after Yi Qing Luo relentlessly. If this carried on, not only would Yi Qing Luo's physical strength be depleted, it would also cause more and more evil chi to overflow, causing damage to her soul. This feeling of having one's soul being pulled by someone was really unpleasant. Yi Qing Luo squinted her eyes. She must quickly settle this array spirit. Suddenly, Yi Qing Luo thought of something as her eyes shone with a glint. She shot a glance at the ink, which was still chasing after her ferociously. Her lips suddenly curled into an evil smile. "Shiju, come out for a moment." As soon as her voice fell, a giant black leopard appeared out of thin air. The black giant leopard had sharp fangs, but the most eye-catching part was the two long dragon horns on its head. It roared at her as its huge body blocked in front of Yi Qing Luo. Perhaps it was because Shiju had the bloodline of the dragon race. This roar, it stunned the formation's spirit for a moment. "What do you want?" Azure Dragon's voice came from the pet space. Its tone was full of worry. Yi Qing Luo rubbed Shiju's head and didn't reply Azure Dragon's question directly, but asked Shiju, "Now that your dragon race bloodline has awakened, is there any other abnormalities in your body?" Shiju obediently shook its head. Yi Qing Luo nodded satisfactorily. "I need your help." Shiju tilted its head. "What does Master want me to do?" Shiju has just passed the evolution period and has yet to experience actual combat. The soul-devouring formation not only affects the souls of humans, it also affects the souls of magical beasts. "What exactly do you want Shiju to do?" Azure Dragon was anxious. He wanted to come out of the pet space several times. Yi Qing Luo had sealed it in the space. Chapter 3593. Yi Qing Luo still didn't answer Azure Dragon directly. Instead, he bent down slightly and caressed Shiju's head. "Shiju, do you want to return to the space or fight with me?" Shiju practically didn't hesitate, its leopard eyes resolute. "I want to fight together with Master. This is my first battle after evolving. I want to fight to the end." Yi Qing Luo smiled as she rubbed its huge head. Then, in his heart, he said to the Azure Dragon, "Did you hear that? This is Shiju's answer. It's still young. It can't resist the spirit-devouring formation." Hearing his son's words, Azure Dragon was both proud and worried. Yi Qing Luo only smiled. "You once said that you will follow Shiju's current wish. I can make Shiju become even more powerful, so powerful that it is willing to appear on its own accord. Since you've chosen me, then you should trust me, isn't that so?" The Azure Dragon did not speak again. Yi Qing Luo flipped over and leapt onto Shiju's back. He slowly leaned down and whispered into Shiju's ear, "Shiju, do you still remember the training competition in the Heavenly Academy?" Shiju blinked its leopard eyes. "Master is right, that's right." Yi Qing Luo's eyes were tainted with a chilly smile. "Just pay attention to one point. As long as you succeed, the soul-devouring formation will be broken." Shiju's leopard eyes widened as it was shocked by what Yi Qing Luo said. However, as a battle pet, Shiju obeyed Yi Qing Luo's every command unconditionally. It did not ask for the reason. "I will try my best to help you, Master." Yi Qing Luo patted it lightly. Shiju leaped up, moving swiftly like lightning towards another empty direction. He had lost the awe of the dragon race. The Erase spirit immediately reacted as it howled and chased after Yi Qing Luo's direction. Yi Qing Luo was half lying on the back of Shiju. Out of the corner of his eye, he kept glancing at the spirit of the formation core that was closing in on him. Then he controlled Shiju and used all kinds of strange and complicated footwork to avoid the attacks of the formation core spirit, until they were about 50 meters away from DMO Xian. Yi Qing Luo then made Shiju stop. With a shake of his body, he flipped off the back of the seal. The glowing flame fan in his palm spun rapidly. Immediately after, the spirit of the formation flapped its black wings once again and charged over. Yi Qing Luo was like a cannonball as she charged forward. Bang! Her glowing flame fan was like a spinning wheel of wind and fire. Wherever it went, the spirit of the formation core would be sliced into several pieces. As he approached the formation spirit, Yi Qing Luo directly raised her leg and gave a vicious kick on the array core spirit's fat body. The spirit of the formation roared and was sent flying, rolling a few times in the air. The wounds on its body caused by Yi Qing Luo's glower flame fan had made its entire shape full of potholes and was in a mess. Roar! The array course spirit held a few times as it opened its mouth wide towards Yi Qing Luo, baring its fangs and brandishing its claws to put on an act. The wounds all over his body once again emitted a dense, evil aura. The net made of evil energy in all directions was getting bigger and bigger. Yi Qing Luo's eyes lit up as her lips curled into a chilly arc. Shijuet, it's your turn. Just as this densely packed large net was charging towards Yi Qing Luo, Yi Qing Luo's figure suddenly retreated backwards. Following closely was Shiju, who had its mouth wide open as it charged towards the dense evil aura. But in a split second, that huge body of Shiju was completely swallowed by the dense evil aura. Shiju! The pet space was in a riot. Chapter 3594. But due to the contract between both parties, under the circumstances where Yi Qing Luo intentionally sealed the pet space, Azure Dragon had no way to get out from the space. Yi Qing Luo's eyes stared intently at Shiju, which was being engulfed by the evil qi. Her heart was also beating wildly anxiously. Her slender fingers clenched tightly into a fist. Her forehead was also dripping with sweat. In fact, her heart was not as relaxed as Azure Dragon, even if she had 100% certainty that it would succeed. But seeing this scene, Yi Qing Luo was still unavoidably nervous. She was afraid that Shiju was still a cub and didn't have much battle experience, hence it would fail. The ink-like evil aura continued to spread. The pair of wings on the array core spirit's back kept on flapping. That dragon-like tail was swatting over and over again in midair. Wherever it crashed, numerous huge pits were formed. Just at this moment, suddenly, a mournful howl was heard from within that evil qi. Like a huge net, the evil qi, which almost covered half the sky, started to become smaller bit by bit. In just a few breaths' time, that evil qi had already revealed half of Shiju's body. Yi Qing Luo chased up to it, and with a flying kick, she kicked the array core spirit. Dong! The array core spirit fell from the sky and crashed heavily onto the ground. Along with Shiju, it also fell onto the ground. Shiju's feet stepped hard on the array core spirit. It opened its big mouth, biting tightly on the array core spirit's neck. Endless evil qi scuttled between Shiju's sharp fangs. How would the array core spirit have the energy to deal with Yi Qing Luo now? It roared as it quickly released the evil qi in its body and started to entangle Shiju. Under the entanglement of the evil qi, Shiju's huge body seemed to be torn apart by sharp teeth and meat grinder. But the only thing which was biting on the array core spirit's head was still biting on the array core spirit. This scene instantly made Azure Dragon bared his teeth in anger. Yi Qing Luo, what on earth are you trying to do? Are you sending Ju to die? In the pet space, Azure Dragon was extremely agitated. It was frantically trying to rush out of the pet space. The other war pets had no way to persuade it. And at this moment, Yi Qing Luo's eyes were locked tightly, staring at Shiju without blinking. At the moment when Shiju was torn into pieces, her pupils dilated and her fingers dug into her palms. His eyes were a little red. However, she did not step forward immediately. Instead, he quietly moved to the back of the formation Eye Spirit. Just as the Azure Dragon was roaring crazily in the horizon, the Shiju that seemed to have been ground into minced meat by a meat grinder actually started to gather bit by bit. Then it landed on the head of the spirit of the formation eye, which was biting on tightly. But in an instant, the Shiju was formed once again. And this time, Shiju's physique clearly had a huge change. The sharp fangs became even sharper. The formation eye spirit let out a few wild roars. Its wings shook violently, and it actually wanted to escape. However, he was pressed to the ground by Shiju with a claw. Shiju quickly swallowed all the evil energy released by the spirit of the array core. It was as if it was devouring the darkness. Meanwhile, Yi Qing Luo had already neared the back of the array core spirit. A vast aura gathered on the glowing flame fan. Yi Qing Luo moved. It headed straight for the tip of the formation I spirit's tail. Profound energy surged. A kacha sound was heard. The tail of the formation I spirit was directly chopped off. In a split second, a burst of rumbling, explosive sound was heard. The ground shook as it started to collapse in all directions. The moment the tip of the formation I spirit's tail was broken. Chapter 3595. The array core spirit has been disintegrated. Old Man Song cried out excitedly, "Quick! Break these array mediums and the spirit-devouring array will be completely disintegrated." Yi Qing Luo's lips curled upwards. Right from the start, she had sensed it. The array core spirit's tail had always curled up from time to time, especially when it was facing Shiju. After Shiju had forcefully swallowed all the evil qi. Under the rage of the array core spirit, that dragon-like tail curled up into a ball tightly. Yi Qing Luo concluded. This tail was probably the array core spirit's weakness. As expected, this was the tail end of the array core spirit. Even if it gathered the evil qi, it was also the array core's central fulcrum. Cutting off the array core spirit's tail end. Cutting off the array core spirit's energy fusion. Losing the central fulcrum. Using the array's medium. The array core spirit which was gathered and formed was beaten back to its original form. Shiju! Yi Qing Luo cried out. Following that, she leapt upwards. Her eyes congealed as her profound energy was injected into the glower flame fan. Profound qi surged, bringing along a biting cold and overbearing energy as it charged towards those black light balls. Shiju howled towards the sky as it bared its fangs and brandished its claws as it charged towards the black light balls. The majestic flames were like a volcano erupting in midair. Immediately, the dark horizon was dyed with a brilliant red glow. On the other side, Pei Sheng had just stepped into the array. Everything in front of him turned into a towering mountain range that pierced through the clouds. The mountain range was layered, one after another. He called out Luo a few times, but there was no response. Looked like he had been separated from Di Luo. He didn't know where this place was. It was really strange. He didn't know where his little sister was. Even Di Luo had lost track of her. The man's handsome face frowned tightly. He couldn't sit here and wait for death. He had to find his little sister and Luo first. Pei Sheng congealed his senses as he walked towards the layered mountain range, while calling out Yi Qing Luo and Gu Zixi names loudly. After walking for about half an incense's time, Pei Sheng's sharp senses heard a dull groan coming from not too far away. His heart trembled as he hurried over towards the sound. From the other side of the mountain range, Shao Qin saw a dense flock of black flying beasts in front of him. In the middle of the flock of birds, a petite girl was half kneeling by the cliff, staring at the birds that filled the sky with vigilance. Under the pressure of the bird, the girl gradually crawled back a few steps. Traces of blood were left on the ground. After a while, the girl stopped beside the cliff. Take another step back. It was a bottomless abyss. As the girl retreated, the gravel fell to the ground without a sound. The girl's face was pale. She raised her head and glared at the birds in the sky. Her pretty face was filled with unwillingness. Just as the birds were flapping their wings and pouncing towards the girl, a voice suddenly rang out. The girl clenched her fists. Gritting her teeth, she leaped into the air, intending to fight to the death with the birds in the sky. Suddenly, she heard a man's panicked voice. "Little sister." The girl was startled and her eyelashes trembled. A look of disbelief appeared on his face. Was she hallucinating right before she died? Why, I think I heard Brother Shung's voice. This absent-mindedness gave the birds a chance to pounce on her. One by one, Sharpbeak pecked at the girl. One by one, sharp claws grabbed towards the girl. Little sister. This scene made Pei Sheng's eyes turn bloodshot. His heart was in pain, as if it was about to stop. His body quickly dashed towards the direction of the girl. Chapter 3596. Bang! There was a loud explosion. The earth shook and the mountains shook. The birds in the sky were actually wrapped by a golden light. It was also at this moment. In an instant, the world became silent. It was as if time had stopped. In this still scene, there was only the golden light and the birds that were shrouded in the golden light. Gradually, a subtle change took place in the stillness of everything that had been frozen. The golden radiance split apart bit by bit, turning into numerous, densely packed golden rays. Crack! A crisp cracking sound could be heard. It shattered along with the golden light, and the birds that were shrouded in the sky. Gu Zishi was stunned by the scene in front of her. She widened her eyes in shock and raised her hand to rub her eyes. When she opened her eyes again, everything in front of her was still so bright and dazzling. What was going on? After Gu Zishi adapted to the fragmented golden light in front of her, she then noticed not far in front of her. It was also the place where the golden light came from. It was a tall and slender figure that was suspended on a cliff. With just a glance, Gu Zishi could see who the figure was shrouded in the golden light and could only vaguely see the outline of the figure. Her pupils suddenly constricted. She subconsciously covered her mouth with both hands and looked at the top of the cliff. Brother Shung. That's right. The person in front of her who released the golden light and shattered the birds in the sky with one move. It was Pei Sheng. Little sister, are you all right? Hearing Gu Zishi's voice, Pei Sheng, who was surging with a violent aura, his turbid eyes suddenly became clear. It was also at this moment. The golden light that enveloped Pei Sheng suddenly dissipated. Just as Pei Sheng was about to raise his feet and walk towards Gu Zishi, he suddenly felt weightless and his entire body fell rapidly. Brother Sheng. Gu Zishi looked at the dignified and domineering Pei Sheng, who was floating in midair. Suddenly, the golden light dispersed, and he fell from midair towards the depths of the cliff. Gu Zishi was so shocked that she reacted as fast as she could. She pounced to the edge of the cliff and grabbed Pei Sheng's arm. Pei Sheng's falling body was hanging on the edge of the cliff. Gu Zishi grabbed Pei Sheng's arm tightly as she poured her profound energy into her arms and pulled him up. It took a lot of effort. Only then did Gu Zishi pull the burly Pei Sheng up. Pei Sheng's clothes were torn by the sharp stones as they were pulled. Faint traces of blood could be seen. Gu Zishi frowned when she saw the bright red wound under Pei Sheng's torn clothes. He was about to speak. His body tensed up. Pei Sheng wrapped his arms around her and pulled her into his embrace. Her head hit Pei Sheng's chest. He could hear Pei Sheng's powerful heartbeat. He could smell the faint scent of blood on Pei Sheng's body. Gu Zishi was a little stunned. Her body stiffened as she nestled in Pei Sheng's embrace. Pei Sheng tightened his grip. It was as if he couldn't wait to fuse the girl into his body. He spoke in a hoarse voice. Thank goodness you're fine." Gu Zishi's heart thundered like fireworks. Her beautiful eyes widened. Was Brother Sheng worried about her? Furthermore, it was not the kind of worry that a brother and sister would have. It was another kind of. Gu Zishi's heart beat uncontrollably. A sweet feeling spread from the bottom of her heart. Just as she was about to speak, the arms that were hugging her delicate body suddenly retracted. Chapter 3597. The sudden alienation caused Gu Zishi to be slightly startled. She stared blankly at Pei Sheng, who was avoiding her eyes with an unnatural expression. She frowned. Pei Sheng stood up abruptly as if to ease his mood. He turned around and walked down the mountain road. "That's good. Let's go find a Luo first." Brother Sheng. Gu Zishi didn't move. She just opened her mouth and called him in a low voice. Pei Sheng stopped, but didn't turn around. What did this mean? Why didn't he dare to look at her now? Obviously, they had been close for several years. They had been like brother and sister for so many years. Why were they so estranged from each other now? Gu Zishi pursed her lips tightly. There was an inexplicable anger in her heart. She looked at his thin back and clenched her fists. Brother Sheng, turn around and look at me. Pei Sheng didn't move. His body was obviously getting more and more stiff. Gu Zishi walked towards Pei Sheng. Since you won't turn around, I'll go over. At the moment when Gu Zishi lifted her foot, Pei Sheng suddenly quickened his pace. Sister, let's find a luo and leave here first. After a few steps, he heard a thud behind him. It was the sound of Gu Zishi falling to the ground. Pei Sheng turned around almost instinctively and rushed towards Gu Zishi. Gu Zishi sat on the ground. Her face was as pale as paper. She stared at Pei Sheng with her beautiful eyes without blinking. When Pei Sheng squatted down and reached out to help her, Gu Zishi suddenly reached out to grab Pei Sheng's collar and pulled him hard. Pei Sheng leaned forward. Both of them fell backwards. Pei Sheng was worried that he would hurt Gu Zishi, so he could only support himself with his palms. It was a standard posture of a man on top and a woman on the bottom. Pei Sheng realized that something was wrong. He wanted to withdraw his hand, but the girl's hand was holding his collar tightly. Sister, let go of me first. Pei Sheng looked away. He didn't dare to look at Gu Zishi's face. Gu Zishi pursed her lips and tightened her grip on his shirt. Why don't you dare to look at me? Oui. Pei Sheng quickly glanced at Gu Zishi. When her eyes met Gu Zishi's stubborn gaze, she quickly looked away. We're men and women. Little sister, let me get up first. If you want me to let go, sure. Gu Zishi held him stubbornly. You must answer my question. Pei Sheng's eyes darted around. All right. Gu Zishi stared at him. Why is your attitude towards me getting colder and colder these days? I didn't. Pei Sheng shook his head. Ever since I was 8 years old, you brought me back to treasure gathering. We've been together, calling each other brother and sister, and relying on each other for survival for almost 9 years. Gu Zishi's voice was very deep. You're not a liar. Pei Sheng, Gu Zishi continued. You avoid me and don't even want to talk to me. You don't even want to look at me. Are you tired of me? Do you want to end our relationship? Pei Sheng looked at her abruptly. No. I've really had enough of your indifferent attitude. Gu Zishi interrupted Pei Sheng's explanation. What on earth do you want? Can't you just tell me what you're thinking? Little sister. Pei Sheng's thin lips moved, but he didn't know what to say. She looked at Pei Sheng's face and the way he avoided her gaze. Chapter 3598. Pei Sheng's lips quivered again. There was a hint of struggle on his handsome face. Gu Zishi curved her lips. This posture, this angle. She could clearly see the changes in the man's expression. They had been together for 9 years. She understood Pei Sheng very well. She understood that she could almost read Pei Sheng's thoughts from his gaze. Pei Sheng's avoidance, and Pei Sheng's uneasiness when he faced her. How could Gu Zishi not feel it? Actually, there was one thing that Di Luo was right about. If Pei Sheng always faced her with the same attitude as before. Actually, this was the worst possible outcome, because this meant that Pei Sheng had always regarded her as his younger sister. He would distance himself from her and would have different reactions to her. He could not be as intimate as before. This meant that the relationship between the two of them had taken a step forward. If they continued like this, they would not make things clear to each other. They would just hide from each other and live like this. Their relationship would only drop to a freezing point. A hint of determination flashed across Gu Zishi's beautiful eyes. She tightened her grip on Pei Sheng's clothes. To be honest, I have long wanted to end our 9-year relationship. After Gu Zishi finished speaking, Li Yundong's expression changed. Pei Sheng looked at her in shock. There was no longer the avoidance in his eyes. His handsome face was filled with complicated emotions. He opened his mouth a few times, but he could not say a word. Gu Zishi looked into his eyes and repeated word by word, "The 9 years of sibling love has come to an end now." Pei Sheng's eyelashes fluttered. After what seemed like a long time, he found his voice. Little sister, you are joking with me, right?" "It's not a joke." Gu Zishi looked at him. "You are leaving me?" Pei Sheng's voice was very bitter. Every word that came out of his mouth was like a sharp knife cutting his throat. Gu Zishi shook her head. She suddenly pulled Pei Sheng's clothes. While Pei Sheng was still in a daze, Pei Sheng's body sank down. Gu Zishi hooked her arms around his neck and took the initiative to kiss his lips. She planted a firm kiss on his lips. Then, she grabbed his collar and stared at the man's shocked eyes. Her tone was firm and serious. "Only by ending the 9-year sibling relationship can I develop another kind of relationship with you." Pei Sheng's heart skipped a beat and started pounding violently. His whole body was burning hot. The soft touch on his lips seemed to still exist. He could even smell the girl's fragrance in his nostrils. "Pei Sheng, Gu Zishi, don't want to be your little sister. I like you. 9 years ago, when you picked me up and brought me back to treasure gathering, I've liked you." The girl looked into his eyes and said word by word. His eyes shone with determination, and they were extremely bright. "So, Pei Sheng, after ending our relationship as siblings, give us a chance to build another relationship, okay?" Gu Zishi's eyes shone with hope. Pei Sheng's throat was dry. He opened his mouth, and after a long while he spat out a word. Gu Zishi pursed her lips tightly, her beautiful eyes staring at her. It could be seen from her trembling eyelashes. In fact, she was not as relaxed as she looked on the surface. "Little sister." Pei Sheng's broad palm held the hand that was holding his collar. "You are still young and can't distinguish between affection and love. You haven't seen other men. Chapter 3599. Pei Sheng looked at Gu Zishi's serious and solemn expression, and something seemed to jump fiercely in his heart, especially when his eyes met with Gu Zishi's resolute eyes. His heart was beating wildly, uncontrollably. Almost subconsciously, he wanted to blurt out the word no. But he had just opened his mouth. Before he could even say the word no, suddenly he saw Gu Zishi's pupils contracted. That hand which was grabbing his lapel suddenly stretched out and circled around his neck. Pei Sheng was startled by this sudden action. Immediately following that, Gu Zishi's body suddenly flipped over and pressed Pei Sheng below her. Pei Sheng was so shocked that he wanted to cry out, but he saw a patch of pitch-black flying beasts in the sky, forming a flock and charging downwards towards their direction. From this angle, he could totally see their sharp beaks and those sharp claws. Gu Zishi suddenly changed her position with him, just to help him block the flying beast's attack. Looking at the sky full of flying beasts which had already charged over, Pei Sheng's eyes turned red. He wanted to change his position with Gu Zishi again, but Gu Zishi's hands pressed tightly on his shoulders, not allowing him to move. "Little sister." Pei Sheng struggled in panic, but he could only watch as the sky full of flying beasts, with lightning speed, grabbed towards Gu Zishi. "Cough. Have I disturbed you?" Just at this critical moment, by the side of his ear, a young lady's sweet and melodious voice was heard. And it was at this moment. The sky full of flying beasts was just a finger's distance away from Gu Zishi. Suddenly, it turned into a cloud of green smoke, disappearing without a trace. Pei Sheng stared blankly at the sky, which had regained its azure blue color, still in a daze. The young lady's teasing voice was heard once again. Looks like I've really disturbed you. Please continue. Pei Sheng suddenly regained his senses as he looked towards the direction of the voice with his mouth agape. He saw that the surroundings had unknowingly changed from that layers upon layers of undulating mountain ranges into a lush and terrifying forest. Yi Qing Luo was leaning against a thick and solid tree trunk. Her red clothes were like fire, like a flaming elf. A pair of long and narrow eyes were looking at him with a sly smile. This is... What's going on? Pei Sheng had yet to recover from the thrilling experience. Suddenly, the girl who had her hands on his shoulders went limp and fell into his arms. Pei Sheng instinctively hugged the girl. Little sister, the body of the girl in his arms was ice cold. She leaned against his chest without saying a word. Pei Sheng realized something and immediately sat up, hugging Gu Zishi by the waist. He saw that the young girl had fallen into a deep coma. Her face was pale as she leaned against his chest. Her lips were also as white as paper. Little sister, Pei Sheng's throat tightened. Boundless fear invaded his body and mind. He wrapped his arms tightly around the girl's body and roared hoarsely at Gu Zishi. She's not dead yet. If you continue shouting like this, she might really be scared to death. Yi Qing Luo leapt down from the tree branch and walked towards the both of them. Pei Sheng's throat seemed to have stopped all sounds as he raised his head to look at Yi Qing Luo. His handsome face was filled with panic and his eyes were filled with a pleading expression. Yi Qing Luo walked to their side and half squatted down, taking Gu Zishi's pulse. She had just put down Gu Zishi's hand. Chapter 3600. She will be fine after a period of recuperation. Yi Qing Luo stood up and explained, "This is the soul-devouring formation, which is a formation that absorbs souls. Zishi is the first person to enter the formation, which caused her soul to suffer more serious damage." Soul? Pei Sheng carried Gu Zishi and stood up abruptly. He looked at Gu Zishi's pale face. Is her soul damaged? In the soul-devouring formation, no matter who it is, their soul will be affected. Yi Qing Luo said, "Don't speak loudly in her ear. It might cause her soul to disperse." Even Pei Sheng's breathing became cautious at that moment. Yi Qing Luo squinted her eyes as she sized Pei Sheng up. "Your soul doesn't seem to be affected?" Even with her willpower in this soul-devouring formation, her soul was slightly affected. Pei Sheng seemed totally unaffected. Pei Sheng carried Gu Zishi carefully as he looked at Yi Qing Luo blankly. "What influence?" "I don't have any special feeling." Yi Qing Luo was stunned. It seemed that Pei Sheng was really unaffected in the soul-devouring formation. That was strange. Wait a minute. Previously in the medical hall, the three mercenaries and Pei Sheng had a short fight. To be able to become a member of the second gold-ranked mercenary group, their ability must not be underestimated. But those three mercenaries were not able to shake Pei Sheng at all. Could it be? Pei Sheng looked like he wasn't as simple as he looked. What other secrets were hidden behind his back? "Luo, why do you keep looking at me? Is there something on my face?" Pei Sheng noticed Yi Qing Luo's expression and averted his gaze in embarrassment, looking like a shy young man. Yi Qing Luo shook her head. "Nothing. I was just thinking at such a critical moment. Zishi should have told you about her feelings towards you." Pei Sheng's face instantly turned red as he threw all the unnaturalness to the back of his head. How did you know?" "In this world, I'm afraid only you don't know that she likes you." Yi Qing Luo looked at Pei Sheng's expression and knew that she had guessed correctly. Just as they walked out of the formation, Yi Qing Luo saw Pei Sheng and Gu Zishi in an extremely harmonious posture. Yi Qing Luo guessed it. Gu Zishi might be expressing her feelings at this time. Pei Sheng's face turned even redder as her eyelashes fluttered furiously. Her voice sounded anxious and embarrassed. She likes me? Why would he say that? It's just because she's never been in contact with other men that she mistook her feelings for me as love. At the end of his speech, even his mood was a little gloomy. Yi Qing Luo laughed when she heard that. Never come into contact with other men? Ah Sheng, are you playing dumb, or do you really not know? With Zishi's relationship with the bloody mercenary group, how could she not have interacted with other men? Don't tell me you can't tell that the vice leader of the bloody mercenary group likes Zishi. Pei Sheng's face instantly darkened. He pursed his lips and subconsciously tightened his arms around Gu Zishi. It was as if he was hugging his most precious treasure, unwilling to let others have any chance to touch it. Yi Qing Luo looked at the direction of the boundless, dense forest and suddenly raised her head, looking at the sky full of luxuriant foliage. The sunlight shone on her face through the gaps of the leaves. It made her devastatingly beautiful face look as flawless as jade, so beautiful that there was no flaw at all. But Pei Sheng inexplicably felt that. Chapter 36:01. Yi Qing Luo raised her wrist. Her 5 fingers spread open and covered her eyes. Her rosy red lips curled into a shallow arc. Ah Sheng, don't miss the chance to be with your beloved. Zishi took the initiative to take the first step. If you have the same feelings for her, you should bring out a man's spirit and take the remaining 99 steps. Her voice sounded a little blurred. Don't wait until Zishi really leaves you, then you will regret it. Pei Sheng looked at her in a daze. Ah Luo, are you thinking of your fiancé? Yi Qing Luo's smile grew wider, but her eyes were covered by her hand. He couldn't tell what expression was on her face. Pei Sheng felt that. Ah Luo seemed to be smiling, but that bitter feeling was absolutely not a smile. What happened to Ah Luo in the array to suddenly become like this? Yes, I want to be by his side. Yi Qing Luo took a deep breath, and when she removed her hand, the expression on her face had already reverted to its previous bright and flamboyant look. So you should cherish the time you have with Zishi even more. To have a lady who loves you so much to accompany you, it's your fortune. Pei Sheng lowered his eyes and looked at the person in his arms. He pursed his lips and didn't speak for a long time. Yi Qing Luo didn't continue to speak, but with a smile on her face, she looked at a certain place in the forest behind her, as if she was looking at someone through the dense forest. After a long moment of silence, hurried footsteps were heard from afar. Following that were a few anxious and worried voices from afar. I heard their voices. It's coming from this side. There's a cultivator's aura in front. Could it be them? Zishi, Zishi. Along with the noise came the sound. Not far away, more than 10 people from the blood mercenary group were rushing over here. The moment assistant leader, Bo, saw Pei Sheng, he immediately unleashed his profound energy and rushed to Pei Sheng. Zishi. Assistant leader Bo stretched out his hand to snatch Gu Zishi from Tsong Pei Sheng's arms. Pei Sheng hugged Gu Zishi and took a step back, avoiding assistant leader Bo's hands. Vice Commander Bo was stunned. He raised his head and looked at Pei Sheng anxiously. Su Qingbing coughed softly. Song Yi, that's Zishi's brother. You're a man. There's a difference between men and women. Only then did Deputy Regiment Commander Bo react. He didn't insist on hugging Gu Zishi anymore. Instead, he asked Pei Sheng worriedly, what happened to Zishi? Why is she unconscious? For some unknown reason, Pei Sheng felt that the word brother from Su Qingbing was extremely piercing to his ears, especially when Deputy Regiment Commander Bo reached out to hug Gu Zishi when he saw her. It made him even angrier. Could it be previously, when Zishi was with the bloody mercenary group in the West Cliff Mountain, were they used to hugging each other? What happened to Zishi? Say something. Seeing that Pei Sheng did not speak for a long time, Vice Commander Bo was extremely anxious. Just as Vice Commander Bo was about to lose control of his emotions and was about to shake Pei Sheng, Yi Qing Luo raised her hand and blocked Vice Commander Bo's hand. Lower your voice. Zishi's soul is injured. Any shock will cause her soul to leave her body. Vice Commander Bo's expression changed as he became even more anxious and uneasy. What on earth is going on? Will Zishi be all right? Chapter 3602. Vice, Leader Bo nodded repeatedly. Right. Go to Blood Mercenary Group's base. The mercenary group has the best doctors. They will definitely be able to take good care of Zishi. Saying that, he went forward and stretched out his arms towards Pei Sheng. Boss Pei, leave Zishi to us. Pei Sheng's expression was gloomy as he lowered his eyes, hiding the haze on his face. I won't trouble you. I will take good care of her. Boss Pei, we are very clear about the situation at the Treasure Exchange Hall. Based on your current conditions, you will not be able to take good care of her. Vice Captain Bo explained. Zishi is a member of our bloody mercenary group. We will definitely give her the best conditions. Pei Sheng's body suddenly stiffened, as though his own fig leaf had been shamed by the enemy. He slowly raised his head. His brows were filled with a blank and uneasiness. He stared at Vice, Leader Bo, in a daze. In his mind, that sentence of Vice, Leader Bo kept replaying on the screen. Based on your current conditions, you will not be able to take good care of her. Based on your current conditions, you will not be able to take good care of her. He couldn't take care of Guzishi? He couldn't even take care of the treasure exchange. What right did he have to take care of Guzishi? The current Guzishi. Her soul was damaged, and her condition was not very good. He couldn't give Guzishi the best care. Looking at Vice, Leader Bo's outstretched hand. Little by little, Pei Sheng carefully moved the person in his arms towards Vice Regiment Commander Bo. Seeing this scene, Yiqing Luo couldn't help but burst out with vulgarities. Motherf asterisk cur. This lad, had he thrown all the chicken soup that she had fed him to the back of his head? She painstakingly said a bunch of things. He didn't listen to her at all. Just like that, he sent his own woman into another man's hands? Couldn't he have a little bit of a man's confidence? Yiqing Luo had a feeling of resentment towards him for failing to meet her expectations. Just as Pei Sheng was about to send her into Vice, Leader Bo's arms, she strode forward and raised her hand, moving Gu Zishi's head back into Pei Sheng's arms. After that, she raised her head and smiled at Vice Leader Bo, speaking in a serious tone. I understand Zishi's condition the best. Leave Zishi in the treasure exchange. I will take care of her. Vice Commander Bo's hand froze. His brows creased as he looked at Yiqing Luo, about to rebut. Su Qingbing's voice interrupted Vice Captain Bo's words. Then we'll do as Miss D says, and escort Zishi back to the treasure gathering hall. Commander! Vice Commander Bo's face darkened. Su Qingbing looked at him with an unquestionable gaze. Miss D risked her life to save Zishi. You are indeed the person who understands Zishi's situation the best. With Miss D's relationship with Zishi, Miss D will definitely take good care of Zishi. Vice Guild Leader Bo wanted to say something, but after seeing the look in Su Qingbing's eyes, he swallowed the words that were stuck in his throat. Yiqing Luo glanced sideways at Pei Sheng, who was still standing there in a daze. He didn't know if he should carry Gu Zishi back into his arms or continue to move into Vice Commander Bo's arms. Yiqing Luo helplessly patted his shoulder. Carry Zishi properly. Let's leave West Cliff Mountain first. Pei Sheng came back to his senses and immediately tightened his grip on the person in his arms. The group walked towards the Bloody Mercenary Group. The mercenaries from Bloody Mercenary Group walked in front. Pei Sheng carried Gu Zishi and followed closely behind. As for Yiqing Luo, she was walking behind Pei Sheng. Chapter 3603. Yiqing Luo tilted her head and took a look at Su Qingbing. I'm just a rogue, wandering around without a fixed residence. For a noble like Leader Su, it's normal that you haven't seen me before. Su Qingbing's beautiful eyes squinted slightly as she scrutinized Yiqing Luo. Seeing the young lady's calm expression, it didn't look like she was lying. Then she changed the topic. Does Miss D intend to find a place to settle down? Yi Qing Luo raised her brows as she laughed out. From what leader, Su means, you're hinting me if I should join the Blood Mercenary Group. The Blood Mercenary Group admires powerful people. Su Qingbing didn't deny it. Miss D has such ability if you join the mercenary group. You'll definitely have some achievements. Leader Su thinks too highly of me. Yi Qing Luo stretched her body. Speaking of which, my profound grade can't even be compared to your Blood Mercenary Group. Moreover, I'm used to freedom and can't stand the restrictions of the mercenary group. Su Qingbing laughed lightly. It's not that I've overestimated you, but you indeed have the ability to make me overestimate you. She paused and smiled again, but since Miss D has no intention to join the Blood Mercenary Group, I won't force you. Yi Qing Luo shrugged her shoulders with a lazy look. Silence fell between the two of them again, and the few mercenaries around them looked at Yi Qing Luo's expression, which wasn't very good. Vice Leader Bo's expression also turned ugly. In this way, they maintained this strange atmosphere as they met up with the Blood Mercenary Group's main force. The group of people left the West Cliff Mountain in a grandiose manner, as they were worried that other accidents might happen and disturb Guzishi. The group's speed was extremely fast. They had just reached the entrance of the West Cliff Mountain. A white silhouette dashed towards them at lightning speed. The Blood Mercenary Group's members immediately guarded Yi Qing Luo and the others with vigilance as they gripped their weapons tightly. When they saw the person clearly, Yi Qing Luo waved her hand. This is the helper I found, but he seems to be late. The person who dashed over was none other than Old Lai. Old Lai's face was filled with anxiety as he saw numerous people trying to block his footsteps. His profound qi exploded as he was about to slap this group of people to death. However, he was stopped by a clear voice. Old Lai, stop! Lao Lai's body stiffened. He wriggled for a long time before withdrawing his hand. He worriedly sized up Yi Qing Luo from top to bottom, and on seeing that Yi Qing Luo had no signs of injury, he heaved a sigh of relief. He raised his hand and directly pushed aside the group members who had gathered around him as he strode towards Yi Qing Luo. The members looked at Lao Lai with fear in their eyes. They gripped their weapons tightly and stared at Lao Lai stiffly. He was vigilant, but he didn't dare to act rashly. Just like that, he watched Old Lai striding towards Yi Qing Luo. Why are you only here now? Yi Qing Luo looked at Old Lai's sweaty face as she asked. Old Lai's face immediately darkened. Flustered and exasperated, he said, I was stopped by the city lord without embroiling city. City Lord Lu? What's going on? Yi Qing Luo frowned. Old Lai angrily said, I was sitting in the treasure-gathering hall when that city lord brought a large group of people with him. He said that he had received a tip-off that the treasure-gathering hall had secretly accepted the help of the Qiao family and our Hell Palace to smuggle treasures that could be sold at a high price in the auction. They insisted on searching the entire treasure-gathering hall. When Yi Qing Luo heard that, her expression congealed. You allowed them to search? Chapter 3604. Yi Qing Luo looked at Old Lai suspiciously. Didn't you do it? Based on Old Lai's character, City Lord Lu came to create a ruckus. How could he possibly tolerate it? Old Lai's face sunk. I really wanted to do it. But that city lord said that if I don't cooperate with the investigation, it means I have a guilty conscience. If I were to kill someone, that would be the evidence, and this debt would be placed on the treasure gathering and Pei Sheng that fellow. Speaking of this, Old Lai's face turned even darker. You want to help that fellow to stir up the treasure gathering, so I can only swallow this anger and let them investigate. Then did they find anything? Pei Sheng asked with an ugly expression on his face when he heard Old Lai's words. If City Lord Lu wanted to destroy the treasure gathering, while they were investigating, they would do something. The treasure gathering was going to be maligned to death. With me around, What tricks do they dare to do? Old Lai snorted coldly. Of course, they didn't find anything. Didn't find anything? After that? Yi Qing Luo's slender brows creased slightly. After that? They left. Old Lai scratched his head. Yi Qing Luo raised her hand slightly, and her slender fingers stroked her chin as she squinted her eyes. Which means they left directly after the investigation? Then eldest young Master Chiao told you that I went to West Cliff Mountain, and you rushed over? Old Lai replied, That's right. Why did you come out so quickly? At least wait for me to save your life. Yi Qing Luo. After saving her, did that mean that the Hell Palace owed her a favor had been repaid? Yi Qing Luo looked at Pei Sheng's direction and said, Let's return to the treasure gathering first and settle Zixi down before we discuss this matter. Actually, Yi Qing Luo had already guessed the reason behind City Lord Lu's actions. Things couldn't be so coincidental. Gu Zixi was sent flying into the soul-devouring formation by the magical beast guarding the medicinal herbs because of picking the medicinal herbs. Blood Mercenary Group then went to the medical hall to seek help from Gu Zixi. She entered West Cliff Mountain and entered the soul-devouring formation. When Old Lai wanted to help, he was stopped by City Lord Lu. This was obviously to stop Old Lai. He wanted to delay time and trap her in the soul-devouring formation. Who were the black-clothed men that Xiao Yilu mentioned? Did he deliberately plan to deal with her? Miss D, since you've saved Zixi today, the bloody mercenaries owe you a favor. If there's anything you need help with, feel free to ask, Su Qingbing said. Yi Qing Luo smiled at her. Zixi is my friend and the person consciousness Asheng cares about the most. Me saving Zixi has nothing to do with the bloody mercenary group. Su Qingbing's smile froze. Yi Qing Luo nodded politely at her. Instead, I should thank Blood for taking care of Zixi. We'll bring Zixi away first. Let's meet again if fate wills it. With that, he, Pei Sheng, Old Lai, and the others walked past the bloody mercenary group members and left. The mercenaries stared blankly at the three of them as they left, their hearts still beating wildly, until Yi Qing Luo and the other two silhouettes completely disappeared before their eyes. Deputy Guild Leader Bo gulped down a mouthful of saliva. Guild Leader, if I'm not mistaken, that old man is someone from the Underworld Palace, right? Su Qingbing nodded with an unfathomable expression. The mercenaries by the side were shocked. What's the background of that Di Luo? Even the people from the Underworld Palace are so respectful towards her? Could she be an expert who came down from the upper realm to travel? Chapter 3605. Vice Regiment Commander Bo was taken aback. You mean it's not intense? Do you mean Di Luo's profound rank hasn't even crossed the sage level? Su Qingbing nodded. Vice Leader Bo was shocked. Leader, don't joke with us. How does her arrogance look like someone who hasn't even reached the sage level? Su Qingbing pondered for a while. I'm also very curious as to where her confidence comes from. But now, I have a rough idea. What do you know? Vice Leader Bo asked in confusion. Su Qingbing curled her lips. If she's really just an ordinary person, she definitely wouldn't be able to cultivate such a domineering aura. To be honest, standing in front of her, even I feel inferior. Vice Leader Bo was dumbfounded. The surrounding mercenaries were also dumbfounded. This was the first time they heard their leader praise someone like that. Plus, she can make those lunatics from the Underworld Palace bow down to her. That's enough to prove her strength. Su Qingbing continued. Then, with a smile on her face, she asked, if I were to personally go to the Underworld Palace and ask their seniors for help, what sort of reaction do you think the Underworld Palace would have? The mercenaries looked at each other, not daring to speak. In the end, it was Vice Leader Bo who asked softly, do you want to hear the truth or a lie? Su Qingbing said the truth. Vice Leader Bo said the truth is, I think that the people from the Underworld Palace are already giving face to bloody mercenaries by allowing us to get close to them. The mercenaries all nodded in unison. Those lunatics from the Underworld Palace. They didn't dare to provoke them at all, not to mention talking to the people from the Underworld Palace. So, no matter what Di Luo's profound rank is, she's still someone we can't underestimate. If we can become friends, that would be for the best. A glint flashed in Su Qingbing's eyes. It should be easy to be friends with someone like that. Vice leader both thought of something and his face darkened. She doesn't seem to want Zishi to interact with us. You've made it so obvious that she's on Pei Sheng's side. Naturally, she wouldn't want you to be too close to Zishi. Su Qingbing glanced at her vice captain. I say, you should get rid of your feelings for Zishi as soon as possible. You should know better than anyone else who Zishi is thinking about. Deputy Commander Bo's face stiffened, and he looked unwilling. I know, but I don't think Pei Sheng can bring happiness to Zishi. Zishi will understand this one day. Su Qingbing did not continue trying to persuade him. You can do whatever you want. However, if it involves the tacit understanding of the team, as the guild leader, I will not be so lenient. Treasures Exchange Hall. Yi Qing Luo and the others had just arrived at the Treasures Exchange Hall when they saw Qiao Yinyan walking back and forth at the entrance of the Treasures Exchange Hall. The minute he saw Yi Qing Luo and the rest, he immediately went up to them. Ah, Luo, are you all right? Yi Qing Luo asked Pei Sheng to send Gu Zishi into the room first, as she turned around to look at Qiao Yinyan. No matter. Did anything happen after the treasure gathering? No. Qiao Yinyan worriedly sized up Yi Qing Luo from head to toe to ascertain that she was indeed in good spirits before he opened his mouth. What happened at the West Cliff Mountain? Why would the bloody mercenary group find you? Chapter 3606. Hearing Qiao Yinyan's question, she hesitated for a moment, then suddenly looked at Qiao Yinyan with a serious expression. If I said that everything that happened in the West Cliff Mountain was planned by your younger sister, the Empyrean Fairy, and someone else, would you believe me? Qiao Yinyan replied without hesitation, yes. Such decisiveness made Yi Qing Luo feel a little embarrassed. She pursed her lips and decided to tell the truth. Something happened in West Cliff Mountain. Mysterious Fairy was betrayed by the person behind her. She paused and suddenly raised her charming eyes to stare at him. I know that my words are somewhat of an excuse, so I won't explain too much. After all, the death of the Empyrean Fairy is indeed related to me. Qiao Yinyan's expression suddenly froze. His pupils slightly shrunk. You mean Princess Yulu? Yi Qing Luo nodded. Yes. Qiao Yinyan stiffened and lowered his head. After a long while, he spoke in a low voice. I will tell father about this matter. You don't have to feel too guilty. She has such an ending. It's all her own fault. As for Master Qiao, I will bear all the responsibility. Yi Qing Luo could see the complex emotions on Qiao Yinyan's face. She expressed her understanding. After all, no matter how much Qiao Yinyan disliked Qiao Yilu, she was his biological sister. His biological sister died because of her. No matter how dissatisfied he was with Qiao Yilu, he could no longer use his previous attitude to face Yi Qing Luo. I will go back to Qiao family first. I will settle this matter. Qiao Yinyan looked at her with a heavy tone. Without waiting for Yi Qing Luo to say anything, Qiao Yinyan turned around and left. Yi Qing Luo looked at his departing figure and sighed. You killed without embroiling city's mysterious fairy? Old Lai's voice came from behind. Yi Qing Luo turned back. She made use of Zishi to lure me into the Spirit Devourer Ray, preparing to kill me in the Spirit Devourer Ray, but she was swallowed by the Spirit Devourer Ray. Spirit Devourer Ray? The Spirit Devourer Ray. Old Lai's eyes widened in surprise. This array is amazing. Even the Spirit Devourer array has been awakened. Yi Qing Luo. What exactly is your focus? Lao Lai clicked his tongue. The key is that the formation has formed a formation spirit, but you still managed to break the formation with Gu Zishi alive. You really deserve to be the Overlord's woman. Yi Qing Luo's eyelashes trembled violently. The expression on her face instantly became downcast. Her drooping eyes were covered with a thin layer of mist. Even if he couldn't see it clearly, Lao Lai also felt it. Yi Qing Luo seemed like she was going to cry. This she-devil could actually cry. Lao Lai was both shocked and surprised. He was just about to ask her, but he saw Yi Qing Luo turning around and walking towards the inner hall. I'm a little tired. I'll go in and rest first. You continue to look around. Lest City, Lord Lu make use of this period of time to do something. Lao Lai heard the hoarseness and bitterness in the girl's voice. He opened his mouth, wanting to stop the girl, but when he saw the girl's extreme loneliness, he felt as if he was shrouded in a thick layer of pain. He couldn't bring himself to say what he wanted to say. What was going on? Did he say something wrong? Why did she suddenly seem to have changed into another person? Yi Qing Luo lowered her head and returned to Gu Zixi room. Pei Shen carried Gu Zixi to his room. The soundproofing here wasn't very good. Chapter 36:07. She lowered her eyes and suddenly burst out laughing. She didn't know when the two people next door would come to fruition. Based on Pei Shen's character, lukewarm, Gu Zixi would have to force him to sleep with her. Only then would there be a possibility of further development. She fell onto the bed and opened her eyes, looking at the dilapidated roof. But even if they didn't progress further, to be able to stay by her lover's side, to be able to look at her lover like this, that was already the most blissful thing. Lass, thinking of the Overlord again. Old Man Song's deliberately gentle voice rang in her mind. Yi Qing Luo's pink lips pursed slightly. He will be fine, right? Old Man Song sighed. Even if it's for you, he won't let anything happen to himself. Yi Qing Luo raised her hand and covered her eyes. Her mind was filled with the man's peerlessly handsome face, using his shimmering peach blossom eyes to look at her with a gaze filled with love and adoration. Her heart suddenly tightened and felt a dull pain. Her thoughts returned to earlier. Spirit devouring array. After the array core spirit's energy returned to its original form, she used all her energy to destroy those black light balls. At the same time, just when the black light balls were at their wits' end, Shi Ju gulped one by one, swallowing all of those black light balls into its stomach. The mountains collapsed and the ground cracked as the earth shook. The entire array was completely destroyed. Everything in the surroundings kept on exploding. Yi Qing Luo looked towards DMO Xian's direction amidst the turbulence, rejoicing that she had left Qi by DMO Xian's side right from the start. Qi carried DMO Xian on its back as they avoided wave after wave of energy that shook the array. Seeing this, Yi Qing Luo heaved a sigh of relief as she focused on resisting against the array's energy, until Shi Ju had swallowed all the black light balls. The entire empty space started to dissipate slowly, bit by bit. West Cliff Mountain's lush forest environment was restored. This also meant that the array was completely broken, as Shi Ju had swallowed too many array mediums. It needed to absorb those energies, so it returned to the pet space to sleep. Yi Qing Luo slowly descended from the sky. She walked quickly towards DMO Xian's direction, but when she took a step forward, Lin Sanjiu was stunned. Suddenly, he felt a burning sensation in his chest. Shortly after, the qi in his limbs and bones began to run rampant in all directions. The dark force, which had been repeatedly compressed, suddenly exploded. Yi Qing Luo instantly half squatted on the ground in pain as her face became distorted. Her aura became more and more restless. The Xian qi in his body surged and clamored, as if he was venting something. Yi Qing Luo clenched her teeth and maintained her consciousness. Old man Tsang, what's going on? Old man Tsang also panicked. Oh no, the power sealed in your body is about to burst out. The dark force the venerable sovereign transferred to you can't suppress the restless power any longer. This power had been sealed within the divine phoenix profound heart jade for a very long time. Now they were all released. He couldn't help but want Yi Qing Luo's body to accept this surge of energy. Yi Qing Luo frowned and raised her hand to press in the direction of her profound jade heart. Then what if I break through to the profound grade now? It's too risky. Old man Tsang was extremely anxious. If you can break through successfully, that would be the best. But if you fail, I'm worried that you will be swallowed by this surge of energy. Yi Qing Luo was also very clear about this outcome. Earlier, under the protection of D.M.O. Xian's profound energy. Chapter 3608. Now, just based on her own strength. If she wanted to integrate this energy and break through to the profound grade, she was afraid. Yi Qing Luo pursed her lips tightly as she felt a little conflicted. If it was based on her own thoughts, she naturally wanted to give it a try. She had 50% confidence that she could absorb all this energy. She wanted to break through herself and raise her ability. After coming to the earth boundary, Yi Qing Luo deeply felt the difference between her profound grade and others. If she didn't have her past life's training as a hidden family's young matriarch, if she didn't have the help of sacred beasts, divine weapons, and so on, she would definitely not be able to face Qiao Yulu confidently. Moreover, she had to rely on D.M.O. Xian to break this spirit-devouring array. If one day she had nothing, if D.M.O. Xian had no way to protect her in time, what would become of her? Yi Qing Luo couldn't think about that ending. She had never thought of using any shortcuts to become strong. What she wanted was to raise her own strength, to make herself really strong, strong enough to rely on herself to face any difficulties and setbacks. But now the decision she made was not only related to her personally. She had to consider D.M.O. Xian's thoughts. 50% success rate. This risk was simply too huge. D.M.O. Xian would not allow her to take such a risk, just like how she couldn't bear for anything to happen to D.M.O. Xian. She couldn't bear the remaining 50% result. Just as her heart was in a dilemma, she suddenly heard a gentle and familiar voice. Lil Luo. You can do it. I believe in you. Yi Qing Luo was stunned as she looked towards the direction of the voice. She saw D.M.O. Xian was brought to her side by Chi-Chi. The man's purple robe billowed like rolling clouds, covered in Chi-Chi's white fur. He leaned on Chi-Chi's back as his slightly pale thin lips curled up slightly, outlining a faint smile. Lil Luo, go ahead and do it. I'm always here. The moment his words landed, the man suddenly raised his hand. His broad palm was shrouded in a layer of faint, profound glow. That profound glow made Yi Qing Luo's eyes heated up. Her body stiffened as she realized what D.M.O. Xian wanted to do. Xian, no. Your body is already very weak now. Yi Qing Luo anxiously tried to stop him. However, even if the man was under the influence of the soul-devouring formation, his speed was still above hers. Not waiting for Yi Qing Luo to get up to stop him, D.M.O. Xian's palm had already held onto Yi Qing Luo's little hand. His large and broad palm firmly wrapped around her small hand. A burst of dense spiritual qi instantly gushed into Yi Qing Luo's body from their intersecting palms. Yi Qing Luo instantly felt waves after waves of restless, profound qi in her body, as though it had its own consciousness, as it instantly surged towards the profound energy which D.M.O. Xian had instilled. Moreover, this dark force was originally disorderly in the body, and it was running around wantonly. At this moment, everything became orderly. Little girl, Di-Zun is helping you integrate these dark forces to make a breakthrough. You should quickly stabilize your mind and absorb the energy in your body. Old Man Tsang reminded her happily. He exhausted his own energy to help me. Does it affect him in any way? Yi Qing Luo's entire body was trembling slightly because of the profound energy in her body. Dmo Xian's hands were intertwined with hers, and she could not move at all, as though she was glued to his palms. Chapter 3609. Yi Qing Luo's eyes reddened. She clenched her teeth and looked at Dmo Xian, who was smiling at her. The man was still the same as before, with a doting and tender gaze. It made her heart ache a little. She took a deep breath and tried hard to calm her mind as she sat cross-legged. With Dmo Xian's help, she absorbed all the profound energy in her body, cleanly. Boom! Yi Qing Luo's body gave out a loud explosion. Her delicate body shook. The lingering heaven and earth spiritual qi instantly became pure. Endless, profound energy, wave after wave, lingered around Yi Qing Luo and kept surging. Her breathing was long and slow. Then there was a slight tremble. The dazzling, profound light covered the surrounding 100 miles of dense forest in a split second. Breakthrough. Sage Profound level. Promotion. Sage Profound, first grade. When all the heaven and earth spiritual qi slowly settled down, Yi Qing Luo's profound grade stopped at the Sage Profound first grade peak stage. Yi Qing Luo remembered that Old Man Tsang had specially told her before. The profound grade after the Sage Profound was divided into 15 grades. Each grade was divided into 3 stages: initial, intermediate, and peak stage. Each stage was equivalent to an advancement in the previous stage. Yi Qing Luo slowly opened her eyes and clenched her fingers, feeling the flow of energy in her body. Her lips curled up as she looked at Dmo Xian joyfully. Ah, Xian, I succeeded! I succeeded! But the moment she raised her head, the smile on the young girl's face froze on her face. The man who clung to her hand and forcefully poured his energy into her so that she could break through had unknowingly let go of her hand. That incomparably tall figure in her eyes turned into a thin mist, a transparent figure that would dissipate with the wind at any time. Yi Qing Luo's eyes suddenly turned red. Tears fell uncontrollably from the bottom of her eyes. Her heart and throat felt as if something was pressing down hard, making her unable to breathe. It was as if something was eroding her body and mind, making her feel as if she was in an ice-cold ice house in the winter of December. The bone-chilling coldness made her body extremely stiff. Ah, Ah Xian! Her hoarse voice called out Dmo Xian's name. Dmo Xian's figure was faintly discernible, as though he would disappear any time as he leaned lazily on Chi-Chi's back. Hearing the girl's voice, the corners of his mouth still held a gentle and loving smile, as though he was happy for Yi Qing Luo's breakthrough. Ah Xian! Yi Qing Luo trembled all over as she stretched out her hand towards Dmo Xian, trying to touch him. However, she saw the man slowly shaking his head at her. His smile was still so gentle. It was so gentle that it made one's heart ache. Her hand froze in midair. In her ears, she seemed to hear the man's low and gentle voice saying 2 words, "Wait for me." This voice was so light that it seemed to be scattered by the wind. Yi Qing Luo realized something as her pupils contracted fiercely. Ah Xian! Ah Xian! She anxiously wanted to rush forward and hug the man. However, her body was in the air. The man who smiled gently at her gradually disappeared into thin air. She called out Dmo Xian's name several times, but she didn't get any response. Even the sandalwood scent in the air also dissipated along with the breeze, as though he had never appeared. Chapter 3610. Yi Qing Luo laid on Chi-Chi's back in a daze, expressionless and somewhat dazed. Old Man Tsang sighed. The Overlord asked you to wait for him, which means he will be fine. Yi Qing Luo still didn't speak. Even her eyes had become somewhat empty. Old Man Tsang was worried, but didn't know how to comfort her. Girl, don't think too much I guarantee with my reputation that the Overlord will be fine. After a few days of rest, he will come to without embroiling city to find you. Think about it, he is the Overlord, someone that even the upper realm dare not provoke. Now it is just a soul devourer formation, which slightly consumes some energy, but not enough to hurt him. Girl. Old man Tsang nagged, racking his brains to appease her. But the girl didn't move from the beginning to the end. That pair of eyes, which had always been full of vigor and charm, seemed to have lost all her soul. She didn't listen to his words at all. Old man Tsang glanced at her, sighed helplessly, and didn't speak any more. In fact, old man Tsang also knew in his heart. What was the hurdle in Yi Qing Luo's heart? She also knew that Dmo Xian would definitely come to without embroiling city to find her. Nothing would happen. But because of her, it caused Dmo Xian, such an unrestrained man, to become so embarrassed. And because of her, he was injured. His soul suffered heavy damage. And when his soul was injured, because he cared about her thoughts, because he understood what she was thinking, and once again consumed his energy, just to let her break through, successfully, especially looking at the man who was so strong that no one in the world could defeat, disappear weakly in front of her eyes. The cause of all this was because of her. Yi Qing Luo's heart was more uncomfortable and painful than anyone else. Carrying a heart full of guilt and self-blame, Yi Qing Luo now couldn't walk out of it. Old man Tsang sighed. His girl had always been a strong child. At this time, she could only rely on herself to figure it out. Chi-Chi also knew that its master was upset. He carefully curled up on the ground and curled up his body, encircling Yi Qing Luo in his fur, quietly accompanying her. Old man Tsang also showed his physical body, guarding beside Yi Qing Luo. Time passed slowly. About half an hour later, the motionless girl's fingers suddenly moved. His eyes also blinked. Slowly, he sat up straight in Chi-Chi's arms. Hearing the noise, old man Tsang immediately looked over. "Lass, are you all right?" The young girl's expression had already returned to its previous bright and arrogant state. Her charming eyes were also tainted with her own quick-wittedness. She smiled at old man Tsang. "We have to find Zishi and Asheng first. I don't know if their souls have been affected." After saying that, he walked towards the dense forest. His voice was calm. His smile was impeccable. Just like earlier, his soul seemed to have disappeared along with Dmo Xian, and the appearance of disappearing had never existed. Later, the girl found Gu Zishi and Pei Sheng. He then met up with the bloody mercenary group. Then he returned to treasure gathering. Wait a minute. What happened next? The young girl wore a smile on her face, and there was nothing unusual in her emotions. Until now, when the girl was alone in the room. Only then did old man Tsang see the pain that was suppressed in the depths of the young girl's heart. It wasn't that she wasn't sad. It wasn't that Dmo Xian was hurt because of her, but she couldn't stay by his side. Chapter 36:11. Love was not the only thing in her life. There were still many things waiting for her to solve. She could only do what was in front of her. Then she would have the chance to keep her promise with Dmo Xian. Wait for him. Wait for him. Wait for him. Ah. Old man Tsang quietly looked at the young lady who was lying on the bed, covering her eyes with her hands. He sighed secretly in his heart. This girl, no matter how strong she was still a lady after all. Her heart was soft after all. He also knew that at this time, what this girl needed was not comfort, but to accompany her quietly. Don't mention anything about the Overlord. Yi Qing Luo lay like this for the whole night. The next day, when she pushed open the door, she had already changed back to the previous Yi Qing Luo. Just as she walked out of the door next door was coincidentally pushed open. Pei Sheng walked out with an exhausted look. Seeing Yi Qing Luo, he smiled, "Morning." "Morning." Yi Qing Luo looked at the basin in Pei Sheng's hands. "How is Zishi?" "Still unconscious, not awake." Pei Sheng lowered his eyes. Ah, Luo, when do you think little sister will wake up? It's related to the soul. It can be big or small. She needs to rest for a period of time. Yi Qing Luo took out a prescription. Go get the medicine and boil it for Zishi. She walked towards the front hall, and after a few steps she said, If you don't have the crystal stones, get it from Old Life first. After the business picks up, then return it to him. Pei Sheng's face turned slightly red. He indeed had no money. Ask the Hell Palace's senior this. Is not good, right? Or you want to ask the Blood Red? Yi Qing Luo raised her brows and looked at him. That's not a bad idea. If the Blood Red knows that this medicine is for Zishi, it will definitely not use a single crystal stone. Pei Sheng, he had better borrow it from Old Lai. Yi Qing Luo walked into the hall. Then he saw Old Lai, who was sitting on the main seat, looking sloppy. And Qiao Yinyan was standing at the entrance, pacing back and forth. Hearing footsteps, Qiao Yinyan looked up. Seeing Yi Qing Luo, he quickly walked up and frowned. Ah, Luo, I have something to tell you. Qiao Yinyan's handsome face was filled with anxiety. Yi Qing Luo asked, What is it? Qiao Yinyan's expression was grave as he asked, Are you sure that Princess Yulu was devoured by the soul-devouring spell formation? Yi Qing Luo nodded her head. I saw with my own eyes the evil qi of the array, core swallowing her. What happened? Qiao Yinyan's expression was somewhat unsightly. Last night, when I returned to the Qiao family, I planned to tell father about this, but guess what I saw? Yi Qing Luo narrowed her eyes. You saw. Mysterious maiden? Yes. Qiao Yinyan held Yi Qing Luo's shoulders with both hands. Due to his agitated emotions, his silvery hair stuck to his face. Princess Yulu. In her room, I heard from the servants that today she had not left the Qiao residence. Did you see her? Yi Qing Luo looked down at Qiao Yinyan's hand on her shoulder and frowned slightly. Qiao Yinyan realized that something was wrong. He quickly let go and took a few steps back apologetically. I saw her. It was indeed her. She was lying on the bed, but she covered her face with a black veil and didn't let me and father see it. Black veil? Covered her face? This point made Yi Qing Luo puzzled. Qiao Yinyan used a white veil to cover her face, because the white veil was faintly discernible. This half-covered half was the most attractive. Chapter 36:12. If you didn't see her face, how can you be sure that she is mysterious fairy? Yi Qing Luo raised a doubt. That's what I guessed too. Qiao Yinyan frowned slightly. I feel that if Princess Yulu was really devoured at the West Cliff Mountain, then the Princess Yulu at home must be fake. Even if she has the same face, it might be a disguise. Speaking of this, Qiao Yinyan's voice paused for a moment. Following that, he continued, But the one at home. I can be sure that she is the real Princess Yulu, which means the mysterious fairy I met in the spirit-devouring formation is fake? Yi Qing Luo squinted her eyes as her slender fingers caressed her chin. Qiao Yinyan's face was filled with puzzlement and doubt. Although Princess Yulu had left the Qiao family at a young age to head to Linglong Palace in order to become Mysterious Fairy's candidate, but she is, after all, my twin sister from the same mother. Towards her, I understand her very well, so I can be sure that she is Princess Yulu. As for the person you met at the West Cliff Mountain, I can't be sure if it's real or fake. He paused for a moment and continued. Moreover, if the person you met is fake Princess Yulu, then what is the motive of the person who set up the formation behind you? Could it be that he wants to stir up the enmity between you and Princess Yulu? To make you hate the Qiao family? Yi Qing Luo pursed her lips as her slender fingers pressed on her veil and pressed on her pink lips. No. That person yesterday, his attitude and feeling towards me is very similar to Mysterious Fairy. It can't be fake, especially later on. In order to save his life, all kinds of begging looks. She really resembled Qiao, Yulu's character. No, not right. Wait a minute. That Xiao Yulu in the spirit devouring formation yesterday. She didn't have the wounds that she left on him the day before yesterday, and her ability had increased greatly. Although she explained later on that it was because a group of black-robed men gave her a pill to raise her profound grade. However, who knew if what she said was true or not? Thinking of this, Yiqing Luo suddenly raised her head and looked at Xiao Yinyan seriously. I want to make a trip to your Qiao residence to meet Mysterious Fairy, personally to confirm. Qiao Yinyan nodded without hesitation. All right, no problem. The two of them didn't waste any time. After bidding farewell to Pei Sheng, they didn't even eat breakfast and directly left Treasure Gathering Hall. Lao Lai immediately caught up. I'm going too. With your father around, those bastards from the Qiao family will definitely be docile. Qiao Yinyan. Grandson of a bitch? If they wanted to scold the Qiao family, couldn't they do it when he wasn't around? Yiqing Luo. She wasn't going to the Qiao residence to find trouble, wasn't bringing Old Lai to wreck the place. Yiqing Luo decisively rejected Old Lai and strongly requested Old Lai to stay and guard the treasure gathering. In the end, he used the excuse of who knows if City Lord Lu will go to the treasure gathering hall again and cause trouble to successfully make Old Lai stay. Qiao Mansion. Yiqing Luo's arrival wasn't like what Yiqing Luo had imagined, meeting with Patriarch Qiao's objection. On the contrary, Patriarch Qiao heard that she and Qiao Yinyan had arrived at the manor. He rushed over from the meeting hall. It was said that there were many stewards from various places standing in the meeting hall. Yiqing Luo just entered the Qiao residence. Patriarch Qiao came up to them. His two eyes darted back and forth between Yiqing Luo and Qiao Yinyan.